Hello. Hello, hello. I'm doing well. Avery. Is it Avery or Avery Loves? I have this problem where I put all lowercase in my name and then it just makes it confusing too. I need to actually make it stream. Before starting, yes, you did. Well, kind of. When you said that, technically I had already started speaking, so you're late by like 5 seconds. It's Avery. That's what I thought. It didn't make much sense. All right. Let me swap to boop. And my camera. There it is. Hello. Yep, that's what I thought it'd be, Avery. Not to say that my assumptions are correct, because sometimes it's you make an assumption and somebody has a unique version. There's a story of a lady I knew that when she went to a dentist, they came out into the waiting room and they asked everybody that's there, like, they were looking for a law, like LA, and they said some larger woman in the back stood up and was like, it's Ladasha, and it was L-A, but the hyphen she was using as a dash, but the word of the dash was Ladasha. Yeah, if you want to have a complicated name or something, no problem, but don't get in people's case if they don't say it right. And maybe you didn't have a choice, but yeah. Thank you, Michigan. And welcome. Thank you very much. I don't know why it gives me the emotes, though. It gave me an emote for that. Give it to somebody else. My day was well, Jojo. How was yours? You weren't here last stream. Well, it's the same thing we started two streams ago, and I still working on the Wrathfuls thing, but I haven't actually touched it since we worked on it last. I keep kind of forgetting. And I've kind of got motivated to work on this. I've been doing a little bit on the side. Is that toilet paper? It's toilet paper with a bow. Okay. At first I thought your name was Armageddon, like the end of the universe. I've been called that quite a few times. That's one of the names. Like when I played multiplayer games before, if somebody just sees the name, they immediately assume Armageddon. Some of the interpretations are Armageddon. I usually go by Damon, but they go Demon. I get aggro demon a lot. And I've been called Argentina before, but again, when you have a name that can be interpreted many ways, or whatever people say is fine. I actually like the name I've gotten a habit of calling that in my head. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. I find grammar Nazis annoying, and trust me, when I one of my duties at work is I basically do full red line detailing of certain processes to ensure that things are written correct. I know all the rules for everything, but the purpose of language is to transfer information from one person to another, or from one thing to another. And as long as that is made, who cares whether or not they spelt there right? As long as the information is clear enough to be understood, it doesn't matter. Argo Dayman. Well, if you want to write that every time, sure. Hello, Joseph. Welcome to Twitch. First time on Twitch? Like Twitch in general? Argentina was very different. Yes, the guy was a very vocal player in Halo 2, back when Halo 2 was the newer Halo. And he was very vocal, but he was very funny. And so he was super fun to play with, but he just called me that during a game. Hello, MP fan. Yep, sorry if that's the video's not working for you. Anyways, so I did do a little bit of work on this outside of stream. I started some lip syncing stuff, but I hate lip syncing so much. And my intent was to rush lip sync this stuff, but because Sombra's facial structure stuff is a little different. I have to put more thinking into it, and some of the normal default methods I would use for lip syncing don't work without some finagling, and so it's made it complicated again. I did play with some of the animation a bit, but mainly I went through some of the Churchy shots, and I kind of figured those out. I also did so like this shot is animated now, or should be basically. Well, no. It's mostly animated. It's not cleaned up. So, oh, there we go.
Today, we celebrate the overthrow of the central government.
So I still have to do some of this stuff on there. I mean, it's not his tail's not animated, any of that stuff. That's later.
I have a 5-way.
You have just a pile of like whatever you found in. It's spaghetti with chili, beans, cheese, onion, and crackers.
It is the way.
It is
the way.
It is heart condition. Birthday is on Thursday. Well, happy birthday or early birthday.
Yay.
I hope it goes well for you. We're supposed to tell. You start a sentence with and you absolutely. Yes, I don't care with language as long as you can transfer the information you want. Who cares if something is said wrong?
Yeah, angro.
There's. I just mentioned I don't have the name thing, but no, it's to me it shouldn't matter. There are times in which being proper does matter, and you should be more proper in how you present yourself. But if it's the internet, who cares? Like this is the place where if somebody spells something wrong and then they're like, "You mad, bro," and then they're just like wanting to anger each other. So who cares?
Are you angro?
I
Does
am.
It make you angro?
You.
He's trying so hard not to.
If I kill Michael this stream.
It's like, don't get angry if people say things wrong. It's your thing, angro, murdered.
You're turning 24, close to 30. I'm 36. I had the same thought though. When I was in my 20s, I was afraid of getting my 30s because I thought I was feeling much older. No, the 30s are the best years of your life.
How's 40s gonna feel?
40s are when your body starts failing you. So I'm not as looking forward to 40s, but the greatest years of my life have been in my 30s. And everybody I've ever spoken to has agreed that hitting the 30s is the best years of their life. You start finding things that your body doesn't want to do anymore, but at the same time, I think at a point in your mental state where the little things start bothering you less, and you just find a better enjoyment for life.
You know, my body never, at any point in my life, wanted to get up in the morning, so that's pretty part.
Oh yeah, I'm finding that more and more, but that's more of a like crink at the back or something. But anyway, so I did this. I also colored it, so lighting. So that's how the lighting turned out. I am actually really happy with how the lighting turned out with this. I originally didn't want to do, or I wanted to have it be all at night. So it'd be all like a blue and dark. It just didn't feel right. I couldn't get the lighting around him to work in any way that would make that feel right. So I instead changed the blue in this on his back colors to orange, and it immediately felt better. So I added torches instead, and then to maintain an ominous feel, because normally if you're looking to do ominous, is you take a light and you put it from underneath to cast harsh shadows across the face. Because normally, even in a human face, if you put a light from below, you're going to get shadows up from the nose blocking, and you're going to get a shadow from the cheekbones blocking. So you're going to get dark eye sockets, and you're going to get like a dark shadow across the face. And with the ponies, it's essentially the same thing. So it's creating this like ominous feeling. I just made it much brighter, and it just turned out really good. Like
his eyes always work so well in low light too.
Well, I actually have two separate lights just for his eyes.
Do you have like the purple? Well, no. If he had the purple around his eyes, it would imply that he's controlling Twixie.
Twixie? You said Twixie.
I didn't say Twixie. You can share her.
He's got left Twix.
He's got a left Twixie. Right Twixie.
No, I've thought about adding that. but I feel like they might almost be more distracting, and most of the particle effects that go along with that don't work the way that I'd want them to.
I think it would also imply Trixie's being controlled, and I think it's funnier if she's just kind of along for the ride, just kind of like shruggingly agreeing with everything.
Could green screen Sombra's eyes? Kind of could. I lit these in such a way, there's a reason that there's 2 lights. So by having 2 lights, if I just did 1 light, I'd be like hitting one eye more than the other. So I decided to do 2 lights. So one is just more from the one side, one is from the other. And they both technically are hitting each other, but in the middle, they're bouncing to both. I wanted it to be a glowing light. I wanted it to be the standout color compared to the rest. I might dumb it down a little bit, but if I do, it's going to dumb down the reds of the eyes too without me using a special light for that. And I really don't want to do that because that's really annoying. So I tried it with the white eyes. It just didn't feel the same. Like the green color on the eyes just felt good. Like the contrast of everything on the screen makes it feels very cartoonish.
Like,
I was really.
Is always green in the show, or just when he's casting like the control spell?
I'm not sure, but I felt, and I originally wanted to go white because I wanted to humanize him more, being with the voice that's used. But I feel like it just works better in this lighting with the green. It just feels way better.
It definitely does, but I'm curious if it implies something.
Trixie Best Pony. Some fighting words. Just saying, what inspired you to make the animation called Remembrance? I actually had a thought. I had that exact question come up to myself not long ago because I've been considering doing like behind the scenes run-throughs for certain videos for patrons, like where I just completely go from beginning to end of what I can remember for a video's making process and explain everything and all the ideas that went into it. Remembrance has a lot of documentation at leading up to making it. And so that was one of the things I was thinking of. Why did I make that? And a lot of it came out of the discussion of the moral discussion, I guess, moral, ethical, whatever discussion you want to say, it came out of it when Twilight just became a princess, or when the idea of it, or we knew it was coming, when that came about. Because then the idea was, well, now she's going to live forever. And there's so many questions that came up from that. And while I was working on that was when Megan McCarthy came out and said, like, oh, she will not live forever. And then it kind of, like, in a way was turned around a little bit in the season finale. But nonetheless, I still just went forward with it. So originally the idea came about because, for one, that idea was in my head. And 2, the song, like I just absolutely have loved that song. And it just from listening to it on repeat when driving in my car, I just started developing an idea for a video. And I had probably half of Remembrance 100% figured out in my head for like camera angles and everything. About half of it figured out before I even started it. I actually have a written like storyboard, very rough, that I had sent to a modeler that was going to help the one that made the door, Gun Griffin. He's the one model that made the door, and I had originally sent him that idea. And so I have it all written down. So that's why I said I have a lot of documentation on it. How did you feel when Ashley H made a whole audio drama inspired by animation? It was weird. I've had people make things from things before. So at first I was just kind of like, oh, that's cool. The amount of recognition that it's received since then, I think is super, super cool. I love it. I think it's great. I haven't actually watched all of them yet because they're pretty long, and I usually don't like sitting through something like that in one sitting. And and it's also something I really want to pay attention to, so I can just put it to the side. So I haven't watched them all yet.
So I have a question. When you see stuff, people make stuff based around your stuff, does it give you goosebumps? Happy.
Not as much as it used to anymore. Because in the first year or two, sometimes it would come up and it was super cool. But then, going from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times, every time after that, like it's always really, really cool and it's awesome, but it loses a little bit of the same, the original, like, wow factor to see it. You're
chasing the goosebump dragon.
It sounds like an innuendo.
Well, you know how they
Chasing the
always say,
goosebump dragon.
Like, people who do drugs are always chasing the dragon because they can never get that original high again.
But that was nothing I ever chased. If people want to make stuff, awesome. But I'm not. It's not like I'm expecting it or anything. I didn't think Remembrance was going to be that big. I thought it was literally just like a normal other video, another one in the line of other ones I was working on. I didn't feel it was going to be that impactful to people. And actually, let me see if I can pull the. Oh, that is not the right button. The view data from that video without if it doesn't show anything else. So I can't see chat for right now. But there was actually it's still in like if you look at my top 10 most viewed videos per month, right now it's number 3. It's still one of the most popular things that's watched on my channel. Yeah, so so Remembrance was interesting in for this. So this is the viewership of it. It was pretty popular at the beginning, but then it really just dropped down to a standard view range. It was only in 2018 that it exploded again. Thanks for the follow, Joseph. It was only here that it literally just exploded to be super, super, super popular.
More so than the initial release.
And I haven't, and I can't remember. I originally had went back because normally if you have a instant spike that sits high for a while, it's usually like an algorithm change or something. But this isn't. It's actually over a couple weeks, actually over a month. So I haven't actually checked, but I'm guessing that something came out that might have been around the time of one of Ashley H's videos maybe becoming more popular and it linking back. Maybe there was an algorithm change. I'm actually not 100% sure. But something changed there that actually caused it to spike. So before then, it actually was not it was popular at the beginning, but it really didn't have an impact until actually 3 years later.
More of your videos to do that.
Well, actually, that was the thing is, a lot of the reasons that I decided to change a lot of stuff that I've been doing on YouTube in the past, probably 8-9 months has been because earlier this year, because of the COVID stuff, I actually lost a lot of motivation and stuff, but then I kind of had a 180 turn and I really started pushing on things. And it was about the same time that happened that the algorithm gods, were suddenly like shining down their light on me, and just my normal content started going up. It had a big jump. And because I started also putting out a lot of stuff at the same time, I had like a average view increase of like 10 times for a few months. It's definitely went down a bit from there, but it's still way up from what it was at the beginning of this year. So I'm trying to keep that going. If somebody gives you a push, don't just fall over. So, I'm trying to ride it as long as I can, but the algorithm is not pleasing me or not following me in such a positive way as it was back then, but it's still in a much better position because of that help. So the only thing I'm having difficulty with right now is growth. I'm viewership and everything has been up. It's the pulling in of new people, but I'm actually going to have a separate video on that for patrons. I just have to record it. So about what plans for next year and all that. So, anyways, again, for this, so yeah, he's all lit.
Today, we celebrate the overthrow of the central government.
He is not done. That's you green if it's done. So there's still animating I need to do on him. General animation is done though. You actually watched Remembrance a couple of hours ago. It's been actually a couple of years since I've seen it. I think for the purpose of seeing it, every now and then somebody put up a new reaction or something, and I'll always like watching that stuff. But otherwise, yeah, I don't tend to rewatch all my stuff all that much. Sambra's lit. He is, and thank you for the bits. He is. I am really, really happy with how his lighting turned out. It's not what I was originally wanting to do, but it matches exactly what I would want it to be in the end. Twixie, Your first day on Twitch, and you got Twixie. Well, and she's. Should I change? Should I put that on her badge, Twixie?
Just had a misspell. That would be amazing.
No, it's. I mentioned before about overlapping jokes.
Yeah.
It's where if you put too many things on top of each other, the name tag itself is a joke. But if I make something within the name tag a joke, then nobody would, or everybody missed the fact that the joke is the name tag, and they would instead look at Twixie.
Rewatch value.
But no,
Find the new things each time.
It's one thing if you have big jokes and little jokes, and then you can kind of grab different ones. But that would literally be just covering up one joke with another, and you'd never really get to the other one. I did, for the most part, animate these scenes. She just does a little bounce here. I might add a little bit of camera motion because I don't know what to have her animate. Like right now, she's 100% standing still. I would like to add some kind of a detail to her, but then I feel I'm trying to make her feel like she's distant, like she's just following along with everything, and she's focusing on the one thing at a time, and the rest of the world doesn't matter. And so I don't want her to be moving too much and looking too alive. And that's where if I move the camera around, I can at least make her seem stationary but still moving. And by that I mean like adding it where the camera kind of does like just a teeny little wobble around. It makes it so then, like right now, in this area, there's literally no pixels moving, and so you could very easily see that nothing on her is moving. But if I move the camera around, it makes it much harder to do that instead of it looking like a still frame. But I also went and I didn't do the teleport out yet because there's a lot of interaction and connection to this shot, and I need to figure out the stuff for that first. But I did animate her popping in here. Just I like little, so it's not just like literal popping into existence. She does a little bounce, pop, and then she
look around like, where am I?
No, she looks up at Celestia. She looks up there, and then she's like, huh, and then I did this part for her too. I was gonna actually have her change her mouth when she looked at the cake. Like she was thinking, because I was trying to think of like, why would she look at the cake? And I was thinking like maybe she could look like, I could murder you, or I could get cake.
I like her not changing her expression in the slightest.
That's where none of it felt right, and so I decided to leave it the same. The only thing I have a change on her face is her eyes have a little bit of extra movement, and her eyelashes go down when she blinks, which is on here. And I'm also having her look left and right. It's left eye, right eye. So it's as a person would normally do. Normally, when you look at somebody, you usually will prioritize one eye over another, but if she's just staring at something, I want to have her eyes go back and forth. Like she's only focused on that person and that person only. So that is, I think, the only other details I have. Oh, I fixed the texture issue. I don't know what was wrong with it. I had to remove all of the overrides on her and re-add all of them for those broken scenes. I'm not sure what was causing it. I was trying to... Oh, it's because I changed it on this shot, but I never changed that in any of the future ones. But I probably should.
I'm curious now. If his eyes are always green, or if it's just...
Bye-bye.
Why is he this other one?
Bye-bye.
Actually, I kind of like it with the thinner eyes.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, but I want to be consistent, so this is actually when I go to light it, I'll know.
Well, he's not consistent.
No, I want to be consistent because his eyes, if I suddenly jump with the same lighting from a mid-colored texture to a white, his eyes would suddenly seem exceptionally bright, and I don't want to do that. So I am just going to play it safe. I'm still not 100% happy with kind of the way that this ends. I don't like this shot very much. And so I might go back, or I want to go back and change that, but I have plenty of time to think about that stuff.
I can't help but feel like when I see Luna making that face, that a small waffle horse needs to be thrown at her.
Why is this out of focus? I swore that I made sure that was in focus.
I wonder if she's upset. She's out of focus.
She's like, pay attention to me.
It's like her life story.
It's like when the drugs kick in. Whoa. Actually, if you go and... So shutter speed is how long the shutter stays open. So the longer this time is, the more light it would take in. So if you change this to like 1, it's basically pulling in the full previous second of light and grabbing all the information from it, which is grabbing way more than it should. Wait, no, this would be 0.25. That's a little better. Why are you not? Oh. Couldn't remember what the light is. What the value is. Hello, Boss Gamer. I started trying to learn SFM, and I was wondering if you could give me some advice on an issue I've been having. For some reason, no models that I download off of Steam Workshop are usable in SFM. It depends, because not usable is very broad. I probably need more specifics as to why they're not working. Because there could be, are they not loading? Are they loading but they're missing textures? Are they even showing up? There's a long list.
They're probably not usable because they're not ponies. You can't use them if they're not ponies.
Oh, really? That's an SFM rule?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
It's like against the law.
It's against.
Yeah.
There's been legislation created.
Yes. Like anything that isn't ponies.
I can just.
Wrong.
I want to see like Michael as a judge, but like as a gavel, it would just be like that like toy hammer that just squeaks.
Absolutely.
And it'd just be like somebody's coming in and is like, I object, not enough pony, and you'd be like, sustained.
I side with whoever brings me pony. It is a fair court.
Yeah. You'd be like, the defendant would just be sitting there, and you'd be like, does the defendant like pone? And they're like, he pleads the fifth. And they're like, that's guilty.
So, this man has killed me and 30 people.
Do it ain't even ponies.
Witnesses who watch this. You just see me, the judge me up there. Like, I got a derpy. He gave me a derpy. Innocent. it's like, no, judge, no.
Basically, I can't even get them to show up when I go to spawn a model. They aren't even on the list. And don't show up when I search for them.
Oh, most certainly. Sir Edward.
So there's a couple. Well, the one thing I would try probably before anything is ensuring that it's pulling the workshop library. For one, make sure that you're on Steam, you're logged in, and that it's not like saying up in here somewhere about like lost connection to Steam. If it can't connect to Steam, it might not work for that. But anyways, in your user mod folder, there's a file called gameinfo.txt. I don't know if you've ever touched it or modified anything in it. If you have, that might be immediately what the problem is. If you open that, you should see gifting subs. I agree with him. He's very, very cool. Thank you very much. So,
gifting subs feels like he's like giving you people.
He said he enjoys doing it once before, so yes. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. If my judge review would commit as many crimes as she pleases.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a given.
I don't think that's how you'd be ejected from court. You wouldn't, just because you are a judge doesn't mean that no rules apply.
She's innocent. Look at her.
You could, but then they bring it to appeals, and then he would be overruled.
I'll fight him.
You can't.
You'd be like judge battle. Bring our gavels.
Well, thank you, Sylvia. Jeez, guys are very generous. Thank you very much. Might as well boop. I don't know how to boop here because it's text. Anyways, check here. Make sure that this is a valid line in your user mod. Make sure that there's no slashes before it. Really, if you haven't modified it, that should be the way that it is. It shouldn't be changed in any way. Now they have plenty of emotes. I will be an even greater terror upon this site.
Man,
double boop. There's too many boop. That's like triple boop.
Derbies.
There's too many derpies.
I call her doobies.
Doobies. You have doobies and Twixie.
Dude, this that kind of day it is. Doobies and Twixie.
Okay, if you haven't touched it, then more than likely this file is fine. This is the file that determines what folders are loaded. That's why some of these are commented out for me, because I have too many models that I hit the library limit. So I had to comment out, which means to remove the loading of certain libraries to keep that number down. If I were to include these, like Dino D-Day and Lost Coast and Pirates, Vikings, and Kings, if I were to include those, it would actually get me to a point that by loading my model library alone, by just trying to add a model, it would crash me from hitting my limit. So I have to be a little careful. Anyways, so if that's fine, that should at least still be loading the workshop folder. The next thing I would try is go to actually add a model. And don't actually type anything in, just have it be blank, and go up here and select workshop and just check if anything is there. Do you have anything that you've downloaded from the workshop? If this is completely blank, then it means that it's not loading anything from the workshop, and nothing is visible. Yeah, if you haven't touched that file, more than likely it's not it. It should always default to having the workshop in there. If it's not, if you don't see workshop in this list, just add it. Add it to, I think it's usually a bottom one. Megapack is what I put in there. Yeah, so just make sure it's at the bottom of the list. It should be the last item. It doesn't, the order matters, but for what you're caring about, it really doesn't matter. Just add it somewhere towards the bottom. Hello, Charging Hot Rod. But if you're still not seeing it in here, or if you're not seeing anything in here, if you're seeing anything you've downloaded here, it'd be different. Try repairing your SFM, like verifying files. Otherwise, unless there's some details about how Workshop downloads stuff and puts how it arranges files, I don't know. That's kind of getting outside of my range of knowledge on how that works. It's hard to solve a problem if I've never ran into it. And trust me, I've ran into plenty of problems, but that is not one of them. So I did, like, I removed his animation here. It's going well. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. It's almost Christmas. So I did start his lip syncing.
It's time.
And this is one actually I had a little bit of problems with doing because time, the way he says it, required me to move the jaw backwards and down more than I was actually able to. So I ended up playing with this and using some of the wide bits and some of the other motions of the jaw to simulate kind of that look I was going for. Not quite exactly what I was looking for, but that was where I'm saying lip syncing is taking a little longer for him, even in a rushed format, because some of the same flexes that are supposed to do one thing aren't doing that. I think if you have at least have a place to start and some things to look into. Thanks very much. Yeah, I mean, good luck. I had somebody once before that took some of my particles and they put it on the workshop for themselves because I didn't have my stuff on the workshop, and so they were thinking they were doing a service, but I I take it down because shouldn't do that without permission. But I have issues with the workshop. It's a convenient, great location that people can upload content, update content, and have it available for people. But projects can take a while. So let's say that I start working on a project and I start animating something and I'm spending 9 months working on it. And something I got from the workshop that maybe was a character model was very pivotal to to what I'm working on. And its existence is required. Well, the person that uploaded something to workshop doesn't just have the control to create it and update it. They have the control to delete it. So if they remove their content from the workshop, you're going to get a pop-up every time you open up SFM about removing that from your library. If you click that, it is gone. So if this is a very pivotal model to what your content that is, without it, it doesn't work. Or even if it's not, it would just be an inconvenience. If you click that button by accident, and you can see that one didn't pop up for me, it's because I have eventually clicked yes by accident. If you lose that content, it's gone. So if you were animating a model and full lip syncing and everything, and then it's gone.
What'd you lose?
No, you could.
You said you clicked it by accident.
But it's because I've downloaded stuff in the workshop, and if sometimes people delete it. And then I always say, no. But if I click yes at any point, it's just gone forever.
Yeah.
It's kind of gone forever. My system now does an auto backup of everything that's in my SFM folder to the backup hard drive once a day. So technically, if it got deleted, it would not delete it from the backup, and I could manually pull all the files from there if I knew where they were, and then could put them in user mod.
You probably have assets nobody else has anymore.
Oh, I am always afraid that somebody's going to remove content like that. And if somebody wants to remove their content for not so that nobody has use, that's fine. But if I have to reload stuff and I have a project that's relying on it, I want to make sure I have access to it. So that's why in my Pony SFM folder, I have under models, backup, download zips. And this is just a folder of any models I've really ever downloaded. I drop into here because I want it, or maybe somebody updated something and I updated the file and now it doesn't work how I needed it to. I can then roll back.
Bronies do kind of have a history of once they don't want to do ponies anymore, purging their.
Well, it makes sense. It 100% makes sense. It's just and actually the only people that have downloaded or removed stuff from the workshop are non-pony. I've never had not pony stuff removed from the workshop.
Yeah.
Though I don't really think the workshop's the greatest place for pony stuff. Thanks for the follow, Rosie. So that's my main reason for stuff in the workshop of if something you are making relies on the content from there, somebody else has control of whether or not you have access to it. And I don't like that. So that's why I don't put my stuff on here. And I'm not a huge fan of putting pony stuff on a platform that's not really pony specific because I'm just asking for trolls, and I'd rather have it in a location that was more pony specific that I can just link people to. I just don't want to deal with it. Not to say I haven't uploaded pony stuff before. Wallpaper Engine, I have a couple pony things, and and then one on Tabletop Simulator. So Charging Hot Rod, make the I am Captain now, but in a girly voice.
What does that mean? Make the I am Captain now. I don't know what that means.
You are the all-knowing Mike. Actually, I don't know what he's saying either.
Be more specific. I don't know what that is.
From Captain Phillips.
Who's Captain Phillips?
Remember, we're in our 30s.
Oh, the Tom Hanks film. I never saw it, but I did see the preview. So I think...
Oh, yeah, okay, yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I never saw the movie, but I saw the preview. Okay. Girly voice. I have a very girliest voice already. Super girly. It's like, I am the captain now. I am the captain. Take that, Tom Hanks.
I don't think his name in the movie was Tom Hanks.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. It was Tom Hanks.
Got a good Hello Night. All right. Well, I'll give that. Well, that's what we need to do. If there's a voice impression, we have to have ratings for what quality of Mike. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what are we gonna give Michael for his impersonation of a female captain? Whatever.
10 being a
got
derpy.
Got an 8 out of 10. That's
1 being a rainbow dash.
A 1 being what? No, there's no. We're not doing a comparative scale. People can make whatever rules they want on that.
You're just like, what you?
Oh.
Shakes Fisk angrily.
No,
they're getting lower.
How long does it usually take you to make a frame?
Give it a dolphin. Dolphin's pretty good.
Dolphin's like 11 out of 10. It's a frame is hard because of. I mentioned before a lot when you're making animation stuff, it's the complexity of the animation and there's a lot that goes into how complex any part of a shot is going to be. For instance, it took me like no time at all to do that. Like that took this whole over 2 seconds of animation. Took nothing. I got that done really, really, really quick, probably in like 30 minutes. And to do the animation, that seems even simple for 30 minutes, but for everything. But then this is a lot more complicated to do all the different motions that are involved with lip syncing, whatever. And then if you have like a full fight scene or something, that's going to take much, 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 much longer. So it's really, really hard to do a determination for that. The normal easiest way to say is normally an hour per second, but I feel like that's even that's usually not even accurate. For a lot of the stuff I do, I'd probably say it's 3 to 4 hours per second. But it really depends on the complexity. And a lot of it is too, if I stream for an hour or 2 hours tonight, how much of it is me actually working on stuff? So there's some of that in there too. And like I'm working on a time lapse to put on Friday for old picture we made as my Friday release. And I do a lot of this. Like, I don't know what you would call this, of like mouse flailing, where if I'm thinking about something, I like keeping in motion so that I can feel like I can smoothly go to the next thing. And so sometimes just kind of do that when I'm thinking about something. And so does that count for time towards things too? So just even doing the time lapse, I'm like on my 4th pass through, and every time I go through, I remove like 2 to 3 minutes from the whole video, and that's at 10 times speed. So, and it's usually for this stuff or where I just start talking on random directions or something. Joseph gave you a 10 because he's a nice guy, not because you had good content, but because he's a nice guy. What, he gave you a derpy?
Yeah, well, that's
you can't make the scale.
The scale is made. I didn't make it.
On a scale of, I'm going to make the scale on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is great and 1 is great.
Wait, no, 1 is garbage.
Well, that is a lot of work.
Trash.
It just depends. I think animation always takes a while, but I don't know. It's an investment. So and I think early on when I was doing animation stuff, when you spend hours and hours and hours and hours on something and it gets a small return on viewership, it's one thing. But now I'm seeing a lot, on average, it's a lot bigger viewership. That average has always been changing over time. But I think my mindset is just different on a lot of the animation stuff now, to where if I were to make an animation in 5 hours, like a decent quality animation in 5 hours, like we did that little dolphin, like Gatling gun, stupid thing that was made in 5 hours. To me, that was like, holy crap, that was fast. But to somebody else, that might be like, wow, like 5 hours, that's a long time. Well, no, I think that was like a super short amount of time. So that's all relative. Yeah, you got an 8, a 6.5, a 7, a 7.5, a 7. If they just like recovering from choking or something. I'm not sure what that's in relation to, but sure, Michael is abusive. And all right, stupid face. I'll get to it in 1 second here. How much money could you make off of your top 3 videos if it was original music without having to patronize. I did the estimate for that before. It would have been,
He could retire.
if I was considering my income at the point, my normal job income at the point of time of which I started doing animations. So when I was working in trucking, which it would have been the equivalent of about 3 years of wages. So yeah, that's why I'm taking a different policy on audio usage. So I am being much more careful on what I use on stuff. But I don't feel those would have been as popular. And my top three are, well, one of my top three, technically, I should have been able to. I had to fight that and I still didn't win. I had 100% rights to use the music. It was something to do with the models. That was some bullshit that YouTube pulled, and I can't fight it anymore. But then it's Remembrance and Luna's Banishment.
What you need to do is just swap out the Rainbow Dash and Twilight models with different models, and just re-release it. Maybe like a Derpy and another Derpy.
No.
This would make so much money.
No, the idea behind it is, depending, most of those really, really popular videos are anywhere from like 2.5 to 5 minutes each. And at that range, you're probably looking at a $2.50 to $4 per 1,000 views. And when you're looking at videos that have 18 million views and 14 million views and 9 million views, so when you're looking at like 35 to 40 million views, and you're looking at potentially $3, let's say on average per 1,000 views, you're looking at like $90,000. So that's why I'm different on some of the stuff. But that's why, like, just because of how I did Sci-Twi this year, Sci-Twi has been pretty popular. It hasn't been as popular as all the other ones, but it's been popular enough that I've actually been able to invest on some stuff, with the help of Patreon and YouTube changes this year. I've been able to put more money into stuff. The lighting that we have here, the camera, everything has all been because this year I changed things to not screw myself over as much.
Thanks to you guys, I'm blue now.
But it was also because originally when I started, I did not want to make it a job. I wanted to make it a hobby, and I wanted to keep it in the hobby range. Doesn't mean that I had to be negligent to myself on that in regard, but I just didn't want to give myself that option. So I felt like I was going to starve myself in that way, so I didn't have to bother with it. Now, looking back, I probably should have done it different, but I don't think those would have been as popular without that music. Luna's Banishment is is what it is because it was using the audio used from a previous video. It wouldn't have been existing without that music. And Remembrance, I don't think would have had the same emotional impact just choosing some random song. So that the audio that you're using now, is it copyrighted or are you able to use it for free? That's a complicated question.
Fingers crossed.
So technically, the voices that I'm using would fall under a copyright from Borderlands. The main issue is whether or not something can be content ID'd. Because of how I'm utilizing it, that it would have to be that like Gearbox would see it and actually see need to jump in and grab monetization of it. That the chances of that happening are like 0.01%. Very, very low. Nothing to worry about with that. Currently, all I'm using for background audio is ambient music, so I'm not worried about that in regard. I recently picked up a pack, and actually it's what you're listening to right now. I'll see if it'll let me open this up, because I'm pulling from the Stream PC that's streaming. Because so the V drive is my server PC. It's all over the network. All of this is stuff that I actually recently bought. And this is all came in a pack from Humble Bundle. It was $25, and it was just a bunch of actually pretty decent music. And some of this isn't even music. A lot of these archive ones are actually short bits of audio that are like 20 to 30 seconds long, meant to fit a certain aspect or a theme. So here, this is some stuff I can use. And all of these came with an actual license. So I have the ability, and it states on there purposely that I can use it on YouTube. So I just need more of this stuff. And there are more popular songs out there that I have looked to use that have emails where you can contact them for rights. Most rights, though, are probably going to be 3 to 4 digits for cost. 3 for small, 4 for more expensive. And would I be able to make a return on something that's a 4 digits? Probably not. Not without it being a blowaway video, and I can't. That'd be a risk. So, I've been more careful on it. Most of the audio I've been using lately has been Creative Commons. Another good one to use is Incompetech. This one from Kevin MacLeod. I use his stuff all the time. All the stream highlights that I make the silent film type audio is all from him. And all of these, when you click download, will say what type of license do you want. And if you say, wow, the free license actually allows you to use commercially. I never noticed that.
I think he just wants people to get his name out there. He doesn't care.
But that means that if I sell a product and I make a professionally made commercial on television, I could use his stuff without paying him a dime.
See that guy? That guy is a guy who just does this as a hobby and doesn't care about the money.
But
he might already be rich.
But this is the bit on here is without attribution. So what that means is if I bought a license, and it's actually cheap, it's like 20 something bucks. These are really, really cheap. I could use his audio without crediting him. I have considered doing that for the audio at the beginning of this stream because I use it on the beginning of every stream. That would give me free right to use it as much as I want, and it would get a better quality version of it. But if you do the free license, you have to copy paste this message into the body or the description of whatever it is that you're using. I've actually used this on a thing on Twitter before, and because of that, I put it at the end of the video because it was just safer that way. So there are things like this that you have to be careful of to do it correctly. And the reason that I am being more careful now, when I used to not care so much before, is as you get bigger, you have a bigger target on your head. And I was going to put out a video about it next year again for patrons, but I'm planning to apply for an LLC starting beginning of next year. I didn't want to deal with the taxes for it this year, so that's why I've been holding off. And the reason for that is if I have an LLC, then I can officially hire on help. Otherwise, I can't write off funds sent to a person that are as a business expense if I don't have actual like LLC or a company. So,
I have a much better idea.
Your ideas are horrible.
No, this is a good idea.
No, it's not.
This is a good idea.
If it has the word derpy in there at all,
it doesn't have derpy.
Is the word pony in there at all?
No. This is about the music. See, you could have any popular song you want. You would just have me sing it horribly off key. So if you want, like, the Beatles.
I don't have it here.
You'd be like, me, instead of the Beatles, which would clearly get you copyrighted, you just have me singing, "Here come sun, doop, 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 doop. Here comes sun, I say, that's all right, doop, doop, doop." See, that's just as good.
That's copyright, Michael. You can't use that now.
Yes, it's copyrighted to me.
Actually, you probably would be able to copyright that. Well, no, kind of. There's a guy I've been watching on YouTube that's Law Guy and talking, and he has a whole thing about YouTube copyright stuff, and it's about at what point can something be copyrighted, and it's always, it depends. That is the answer on everything. There was a lawsuit between, like just a couple notes between two different songs, and at what point, how many notes does it take to make something a copyrighted piece of music? How many words does it take in a book before it becomes a copyrightable book? So that you can go from words in a dictionary that are public domain to a book.
Like the dictionary. I've copyrighted all these words. I am Webster. All books are mine.
But no, that's a big thing. But the problem is if somebody were to sue on grounds of copyright, the cost of the litigation and the cost of court would be so extreme that it's just not worth it. So yeah, it's a fascinating topic, and that's YouTube just handles a lot of stuff automatically. So that's why the content ID stuff exists, to where one of the ways you can check to see if something is at risk of a copyright is to make a video with that song in it and upload it. Make it unlisted and see, because there's two different levels. You can get content ID for it, which means whatever, I just delete it. No problem, no harm, no foul. But if it isn't, it can have an instant copyright strike. And then it doesn't matter if I delete it or not. it still mars your record, and you can't really fight it if it was something you were just testing, because how do you fight it at that point? So that's why some of the recommendations used to be that you could go into a specific aspect of YouTube. There's a specific page you could go to where you could search on a song, and it would show you that song and tell you what the associated copyright level was with it. And some of them would say, if you upload this, you will get a copyright strike. Others would say, you can use this, but you just can't make any money. That'll go to the artist. That feature was removed in August, which I didn't even learn about until yesterday when I was checking on a song, which sucks because that tool was super useful, and it was removed because they said that nobody was using it. And I don't think that was the case. If it was a tool nobody was using, but it existed and it was tied directly to your database, then just leave it there. Why do you need to remove it? It sounds to me like somebody pushed to get it removed so that people would fall into the trap, because if somebody goes and uploads something with music that they didn't realize was going to be content that even it does, they can get the revenue on it. So, it's frustrating. So the recommendation now is just make a second account that means nothing to you and just upload stuff to it and see if it gets a strike. But strikes can take up to 24 hours. And just because you haven't gotten a content ID claim at one point doesn't mean that they won't at some point in the future. I had it where, what was it? The Rocky video. I had used the Rocky music theme, but I didn't use enough of it to have it triggered. It never noticed that I was using it. And so it was monetized for I think a year and a half. And then out of nowhere, it got a content ID claim, and I legitimately can't fight it. So all the monetization was shut off on it. I had a video a while back that had just some simple piano music, and it had a content ID claim for wind noise. For wind. There was no wind noise at all in this, and I could have fought it. But is it worth it? Probably not. So I just let it go because I didn't care.
Fix that Rocky video. Do.
That's what Jay did when he did. Yeah, he did. It was Attack on Corn.
Yes.
It was Attack on Titan, and he made it a horrible edit of it, but it was the Attack on Titan theme, and eventually got a copyright claim on it. So he just edited it to use a version of the Attack on Titan theme using a kazoo, and then he even edited the video to put the original guy that did the kazoo bit in there, and then re-uploaded it again. I had that happen with Chemistry, where the Chemistry video suddenly was only visible in Korea or something. It was banned in most countries in the world, so it wasn't worth keeping up anymore. So I unlisted it. I didn't delete it, because if I delete it, it removes the views from my total. So I unlisted it. It still exists, and then I had to re-upload another one, but I had to find another version that timed currently with it. It was annoying. The content ID stuff is annoying, but it is not it's a system that needs improvements, but it's not broken. The way it is, it exists as it is for good reason. But it still sucks. So yeah, that's why I'm just now using copyrights free stuff. That's the reason with all the DMCA stuff on Twitch, where people are getting DMCA takedowns left and right. It's the reason I'm using DMCA free music now, or it's music that I have an actual license stating I can use. There's also websites like Stream Beats and the Twitch music. There's places you can go to watch or listen to music that has no DMCA potential for takedown. But I'd rather have something with an actual license so that I don't have to worry about it. Even Twitch's service people were getting DMCA takedowns on stuff that Twitch says was safe. So I'm not going to trust Twitch on any of it. Then this also lets me to potentially monetize streams that I upload to YouTube, but I can't, because YouTube requires your YouTube channel can only be monetized if you have 1,000 subscribers. The recording one has 2,500, so that's fine. But it needs 4,000 hours of views per year. And I don't have that. It's at 1,800, and there's no way I'm going to hit that. And it would take me, I'm not worried about ever hitting for that. It would be chump change anyway, so it's not worth it. But it gives me the potential, and it now no longer has ads at all for people on the streams, which is fine, because I just can't turn them on. I'm so mad you stream on Tuesdays. A joke. I love y'all. Just have stuff on Tuesdays. The main reason it's Tuesday is originally I started doing streams on Fridays because I would work till 6, and or till 5. And by the time I got home, I would have 20 minutes to prep for stream. So I'd always start then. And if I do with streams any later, it would have made it run too late for Europe time. So that's why I do it at 6 on Fridays. And then I started adding another day. And to keep things spread out, I did Tuesdays, because Tuesdays are about the closest to mid for the week before you can do without it being a Monday. So that's kind of the reason for that. So I haven't really adjusted those. What if I breathe and I make that noise? Will my lungs get copyrighted? You wouldn't be able to copyright lung noise, but it's about the content ID system. So if you make a noise that the content ID system would somehow or another detect as matching something with enough with enough confidence, it would flag it as such. Again, yes, you can dispute it, but for that specific video, it just wasn't worth it to me. It was super, super short. It was old, not really getting any views. And for me to dispute it over wind noise so that I could just open that up, it wasn't worth it. I actually told it to remove the audio that it had on there and add in some other audio. It still won't let me monetize it for that, but that person gets no money either. So, yeah. But now that's why anytime I make a video, I take the video with whatever audio I'm going to use and I upload it, and I'll usually post it to Patreon or whatever, but I will wait no matter what for at least 24 hours before making it public anywhere. If it goes on Patreon and I have to take it down, I'll just take it down on Patreon and put it back up and say, oops, sorry, whatever. I'll wait 24 hours, because normally if you're going to get a copyright anything, it's within the 24 hours. Normally it's within 5 seconds. The engine's really quick, but I'll usually give it the full 24 hours just in case. But that's because if I'm using, like if I was using a stream highlight and I had audio over it, but sometimes the music will play in the background and you can hear it a little bit, it could trigger something. The YouTube engine is really smart. How do I subscribe? Oh, if you're talking about YouTube, well, if you're talking YouTube, there's that. But otherwise, I've never really, like, there's a subscribe button on Twitch, but that's only, I'll never force that on anybody. You're using links and videos without license from Mother Nature get striked. No, and I do recommend, if anybody wants to get into YouTube or any of that stuff, look up copyright. Look up how the copyright stuff works, how DMCA works. It's actually good information to know. Knowing what rights you have, how you can exercise them, and the best ways to not deal with issues. Actually, I think the biggest thing to look up is fair use. It is a super great topic that is immensely hard to interpret, but it is good to know what it means. Because there's a lot of people that think if I just take somebody's video and I re-upload it and I put in there that is for fair use, that counts as fair use, and it does not. It is a very complicated topic, but it is very good to look up the information for it. You don't have to give me, nobody has to give me anything. Trust me, it is helpful, and I am trying to grow and bring in people to help with editing, potentially for animating. I have some other ideas for things that I want to do in the future, but a lot of it is not just financially limited, but just time limited. So it's and again, if for anybody that's on Patreon or is on a Twitch subscriber, I have a couple videos planned before the end of the year. I'm just waiting on a memory card to come in for my camera so that I can actually walk with this and record. And that comes on Friday. It finally just shipped yesterday. But no, it's the content is planned to always be 100% free. I'm glad I don't have to pay you rent no more. He said nobody has to give you anything. No, you pay rent. Darn. Rent is important.
I thought I had it out.
The central government.
Speaking of outs, do you want me to attempt to make you a drink? I'm gonna go get another drink myself.
I kind of want to see how bad it's going to be. Can I give you instructions?
There's that Coke and some kind of whiskey.
So, see the like the markings in the cup? Go put ice up to that, and then put in enough Canadian Club that it basically just hits the top of the ice, and then just Coke in the rest.
I'm gonna bring back a water.
You're gonna come back with like a hot dog and be like, "This is it, right?"
I followed instructions like you said.
I put the hot dog in the cup. if someone takes your videos and tries to make it their own, can you take it down, or how does that work? So I love these questions because this is all stuff that I've had to deal with. Well, not just deal with, but it's stuff I've actually been looking up in a lot. So normally, if somebody uses the content in your video, you are able, that's a better word, to send a takedown notice for it. You can send a takedown to anybody for anything, but it is considered a DMCA takedown. And for YouTube, it's like this just strained normal form that you fill out, you send in, you click a couple check boxes, you put your name, and you hit OK. What you have to realize is that's not sending a takedown notice you're sending a takedown notice to YouTube, but it means more than that. You are sending a legal notice for takedown of a copyrighted work. You have to provide your address. That isn't a YouTube requirement. That is a by law United States requirement. So when you send the notice, YouTube is basically standing as a middle ground for it, and they're saying that we don't want to deal with any of the liability of all this. So if you send a takedown, we are assuming that everything you are sending is 100% correct, and we'll take it down. If that person disputes it and it is determined that you are in the wrong, you have violated the law because you have claimed copyright on something that is not yours. So if there was a recent it was a lawsuit where it was, I'm not going to look it up, but there was a kid that was sued by YouTube because he was sending false takedown notices to people, and he was then threatening for all these other issues. And when you send a DMCA takedown, you have to provide your address. If they dispute it, they have to provide their address. And the reason you have to provide your address is because you are sending a legal notice, and the legal notice then requires, thank you, that you provide the person's address for sending of summons for a potential lawsuit. Because again, it is not a YouTube thing, it is a law thing. So if you, so in doing so, this kid used that address to swap the person's address. That is a felony. So he was brought to court by YouTube. YouTube is able to, within the DMCA or CBA, I forgot which one. It's either CBA or the DMCA laws, to bring somebody to court, or YouTube can bring them to court in place of one of their people. It never happens. This is one of the few times it did, basically to say, this is what happens if you do this, because this kid was not just breaking the rules, he was doing it to an extreme. And he ended up settling out of court for like $25,000, and he had to give a public apology and something else. He could have had his whole life destroyed in reality. I can't remember. It was Minecraft stuff. And he was like 8, I think he was like 16 or 17 actually. He was just sending false claims on Minecraft videos. And it was just completely false claims. But again, that's different from the topic. So normally though, if somebody were to say make a reaction video for something I would make, depending on how they did the reaction video, I could potentially have a legitimate claim on copyright. If they played the video and they were giving criticism or commentary or anything during the video, then that is fair use. It falls under critique or criticism. I forgot the exact rule for it, but then it would not be something I could say to claim for it, but they could dispute it and win. If the person, and this actually does happen for some reactors, if they go and say, let's react to this video, and hit play, and the only comment they make through the whole thing is, oh, wow, or just sounds, it could be considered that they are just copying the video and they are not providing critique, or reaction is not a critique. It does not fall into that. It technically means that they are violating the copyright and it is not fair use. It doesn't matter if they say it's fair use. I love the people that copy paste the whole fair use law in the description. That does not mean that it is fair use. All that means is that you're saying, I know I copied the video, but not my fault. You're admitting fault almost. So it's not the same. But most good reactors do provide critique. They're providing a lot of information. They're providing commentary or additional entertainment within. They're making it their own work. Then that's fine. But I've had plenty of people that will like add their intro to the video and then they'll just play the whole thing in full and cut the credits out. I have legitimate right to then remove it because they did not change it. They did not provide to critique. And then I've had some people complain because they're like, I made this my own. It is my own work. And no, you actually didn't. it does not fall under fair use. So that's what I'm saying. It's a good idea to look up the information on it. So normally YouTube has a tool on its page called copyright, and it will find videos that have contained any recordings of videos that you have made. It's just from the algorithm, and it is good. Like, some people will invert the colors or reverse it or upside down, and it will find them. It is smart. And all it will say is, we think this is a match. And what do you want to do about it? And for me, I have 3 options then. I can send a message to the creator, I can send a DMCA takedown, or I can archive it. And archive it just means move it to a separate folder, so it's off that list. So it's always on there somewhere. And I've sent DMC takedowns before, but a lot of it is somebody that legitimately copy paste the work without changing anything. If they took the video and replaced the music, technically they made a change to it, and it's not worth me fighting on it. If they suddenly exploded in views and they didn't give me any credit for it, I probably could still fight it. It's just usually when it's like 100 views in a year, it's just not worth it. And Tool, I didn't forget about you. I know, stupid face. I got really distracted on this because this is fascinating stuff that is very, I think a lot of people in the background for YouTube stuff just don't realize. Let me go backwards here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. So somebody trying to make your own. Can you take it down? Or actually, how exactly does that work? There's a lot of people that aren't even doing it for credit. They are just re-uploading it thinking that they're like putting it on their playlist. So they're keeping all the credits, and they even say in the description, here's the original. Why are you linking to the original? Why did you record it to begin with? It doesn't make any sense. And also, when you send the DMCA token to a DMCA notice, you can say immediately. And normally I will only do that if there was something with it that requires it to be taken down immediately. Like one person added like fetish porn at the beginning of it. I did an immediate takedown on that. But normally you get a 7-day notice. And as long as they take it down in the 7 days, there is nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's like nothing ever happened from the legal side. So where do you go to get the license for the songs? That I am not sure on. Normally that has to be through, I think, like some kind of a label, but I think the label's more for just handling the defense part of stuff and having the push on stuff. But I'm not sure. I can sign up to where I can send content ID claims. Right now I'm not. I can send takedown notices, but not claims of content ID, meaning if somebody were to upload my video with all the content in it as of mine, I could claim monetization of it. But you need to go through a lot more hoops for that. And I just don't want to deal with it because they're right up on it. And it's just, I don't want to deal with the physical aspect of YouTube looking at my content and saying that I'm sending a ownership of something that contains copyrighted characters. Kind of. So I just don't want to deal with that. So I just don't bother. But for the audio thing, I'm not sure. You would have to check with somebody. Like, actually, Prince Whatever streams, like a couple times a week. He would be one to ask that question to. I'm not sure if he does that with his music. But he might know more about it than I do. So I would check with him. Oh, hey, look, I can actually, speaking of law, let's
but you could be super famous.
All right, yeah, bye, Joseph. Sorry, I'm late on that. When did that happen to you, and what video did they claim? Yeah, I've had a whole bunch of this stuff. The copyright stuff has been over years.
Find out years later, it slowly sneaks into every portion of your life, and then one day I'm just like, did you click that link?
What about dubbing it?
Super famous.
No, that is you break the terms and conditions of the site if you buy followers like that.
But you could be super famous.
Great, because money is fame.
Been a bot all along.
By bot. That's why I actually keep Twitch in the background open now, because normally that pops up and then I open chat and then it doesn't show the stuff because I can't click it on stream. Whatever. It's interesting. What about dubbing it to another language? That's a gray area of fair use. I could state that I own the video portion, but again, it comes down to it's not worth it. And normally, if somebody put a lot of effort into dubbing it into another language and they linked back to the original, really, I shouldn't be bothered on that. Somebody put effort into it. Maybe it's not the greatest of quality on stuff. People have done that for Leaving the Stable. There is actually quite a few audio dubs out there. There have also been people that re-uploaded it with the subtitles of another language. That I had some problems with, because at the time you could submit to the original video subtitles of a different language. Therefore, they had an option or the ability to change the subtitles on mine, but chose to instead re-upload it on theirs for it. Those are not there anymore.
It would be cool if YouTube allowed like different audio files to be put over one video. Like you could just swap audio files.
Yes and no. If it was for the specific purpose of separate languages, sure. But you could be using it for a whole bunch of other stuff. You could use it for audio of anything. And that means that, like, what if you had 2 copyrighted songs that were overlapped? I understand why they probably don't. And it's an MP4, audio and video connected together. It would have to separate the audio in a separate file. And I don't think the whole engine is built for that. So if you're saying right now, as we speak, did a reaction video of one of your videos, it would send you a notification of the video. Nope. So under the studio, there's a copyright tab. And if I go there, I can sort it by date released, and it will then just show anything that's there if the bot caught it. And it's, like I said, it's pretty smart. It'll catch most stuff. And most stuff I archive, probably 90% of the stuff I'll archive. And I have to go back. Last I checked, there's 400 things on there because I just never cared. And I'm starting to now actually go through that. I'm very far behind on it. And I'm working to catch up. I am caught up through 2020, but I still have the next 6 years to go through. So yeah, that's a little annoying. But I'm not worried about it. I went through for the popular ones, and now it's down to like the ones that are like under 500 views. Is anybody else having this problem with the stream and the audio cutting out at my end? It's because I'm not partner. I don't have control over, you don't have transcoding ability during busy times, which might be right now. Try right clicking the video, see if you can change the video settings. If you can't, I have no control over it. Sorry. And I could stream at a lower quality, but then like it would just make it harder for things to be read on a recording. It's probably Twitch or you. I'm not sure. Where can I go to learn this stuff about copyright claims and strikes? One of the YouTube channels I've been actually watching lately, because I just find law fascinating, is Legal Eagle. This is actually, it's a real lawyer that has been, he'll watch movies and like react to it from a very, very middle ground lawyer perspective. And it's fascinating hearing things from that perspective. But some of the stuff he's actually, if you go back far enough, he will talk about YouTube laws and some of the stuff that's come up. And he actually has like a full course on YouTube that I haven't watched it yet, but, and I think it might be a small feed to do it, but it's a full thing about how YouTube laws work with copyright in detail. It's actually really fascinating. As you can tell, I've been watching a lot of his stuff because it's super fascinating stuff. And the way he presents the information is really, really cool. And I figured out he is my age. He's a lot better looking for his age than I am. He is 36. I just learned recently too. So I highly recommend that. Go through some of his stuff on YouTube. And other than that, a lot of it is just being saturated in the environment is a good way to learn it too. And that's kind of where I've been.
It has nothing to do with YouTube copyright claims, but did you see this amazing video by this YouTuber called Twilight Sparkle? They got the cool banner.
Wow, that's a pretty well animated video.
It is.
They must have spent it. They must have spent a couple minutes ripping it from YouTube.
No, look, they made it their own. They got the flashing Twilight Sparkle thing up there.
That is so annoying.
They split it up into 2
How many views does it have?
Like 1,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it not a reaction though?
No, it's just your video split into 2 parts. So that's part 1, and then they have part 2 on their channel. So they split it into 2.
I could check it later. If things are really low in view count, it's usually just a bad PR thing to start sending takedown notices to people. But if something is popular, I had one of my uploads.
I've had it up since 2018. So
I had one of my uploads that had 35,000 views. I think it was Luna's Banishment. had 35,000 views for somebody's re-upload of the exact same video.
Really?
Yeah, I took that one down right away.
Yeah.
Could you potentially make a video or another person make a video with the same audio of a different animation, and that would make it copyright of your own? So audio is one of those things that if I were to take any audio video and I would put somebody else's audio on it and it was auto detected, or even if they sent a manual claim and were able to back it up, I would lose it. Audio is one of those ones that is almost an automatic claim. A lot of the DMCA takedowns are sent by record labels. So it's audio is it gets. But if you're talking about an animation, like talking and like moving things, and they just did a different version of it, if that audio was the original work of the other person, then probably they have grounds to stand on to potentially do it. But again, it's gray area. And that's where anytime it starts getting gray enough, I don't touch it. I'd rather just sit away from it. Give me your login info and I'll go through it for you. Actually, that is so technically you can provide other people access to your YouTube account as a contributor, to where they are not allowed. There's like 4 different levels of YouTube that you can give somebody access to where they can log in and they can moderate and they can view some basic analytics and they can upload videos, but they cannot delete. They cannot see the numbers of, like, they cannot see revenue numbers, and they cannot modify or something. It allows it so that a larger channel that has other people working on the channel can work on the channel without having direct access to everything. So technically, kind of, but no, the option is there. I only learned about that like 6 months ago, and I was like, what? That's really cool. Hello from Russia with love. Well, hello. I don't know any Russian, so I'm just gonna say hello. Let me see this. You look like you're in your 20s. No, I am not.
I'd be afraid to ask, because last time we did this.
Yeah, we did this once before of how old is Michael and how old am I, and it didn't go well for Michael.
I'm apparently your dad.
So
never forgot.
Technically, well, so I already said how old I am, so it doesn't matter. But how old do you think Michael is? It's always funny.
Yes, how old am I, internet? Really, when's that?
Oh yes, sorry, Tiller Wrench. We'll do stupid face now. Thanks for your patience.
I'm 50.
Okay, no, I can see it. Okay.
No, you stop.
40. Good 40.
No. At least it's a little younger.
Over 9,000. 47. So.
Am I really that beat the heck?
So.
I mean, yes.
For your information, he is younger than me. 35.
Hey, someone got it right. Good job.
Yeah, you got it. Actually, you are 100% right. He is 35.
Yeah.
When is your birthday?
July.
Is it July?
Yeah.
I thought you were closer to me, but you're like 9 months away from me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Not quite a year.
45.2. Well, that'd been really interesting if he's like knew that. No, I have a bit of a baby face. It's more of like, look, I am balding. My hair is definitely thinning.
He had a full head of hair when I first met him.
Really?
Yeah, it was full still.
I was starting to lose at that point.
It was starting to thin, but it was still there.
It's definitely thin a lot since then. And my brother has like full head of hair, and he's 4 years older than me, so it bothers me that I got that gene. But I
use Rogaine like for the last.
How's it going for you?
I don't know, because I'm afraid if I stop, it'll just go completely, just fall out. I've been using Rogaine since I was like 28, so 7 years now. I still got quite the bald spot.
I mean, this one does have. Oh, yes, he does. Just get this taken care of quickly.
Now, if I had
Time
like,
to
if I had like
It's time.
Ones, I think
He talk.
He looks like
It's
robot.
time to...
It's like, it's reminding me of what's that movie? Iron Giant.
Yeah, that is it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was trying to think of the same thing. We'll tap my leg away for a second. No, this is what everyone with stupid faces pulled.
kill someone. It's time.
So his jawbone is weird though, that the teeth aren't connected.
That has to be annoying to animate.
It's actually nice for some things, but if it had a separate bone for the teeth and the lips, it'd be fine. Then I could at least move the teeth, but I have no option to move the teeth, which is where the complexity comes in. So if I could move the teeth, because I want to be able to angle it down at a lower angle, because say he's looking down and he says something, his mouth opening might not be visibly open enough. So I usually will open it up a lot more so that it looks like it is open how it should be, even though technically it's correct. But I don't have that option. You muted the stream? That's fine. Muted the stream? All we've been doing is talking for like the last 40 minutes. What are you doing muting the stream? Let's see if there's anything else I missed here. I don't think so. I think we caught up on everything. No, YouTube copyright stuff is fascinating, but it is also to where, like in my case, like Twidash was one of the interesting situations where Twidash, I paid a guy to do the music and to also then send me an email stating that he was the original author of the music and I'm allowed to use it for non-commercial purposes. YouTube is a non-commercial platform because you're not selling a product. It is the presentation of like entertainment, in which is a non-commercial purpose. So I had the authority to use the music for such, which means then the content ID claim should hit. And then it still had a demonetization. And I had to email them to figure out why the hell would do that. And their reasoning was I had to prove that I had the authority to use the models that I was using. That bothered me a lot because I have never, ever had that pop up on any other video. And that video wasn't even popular there at that time. It was right when it came out and I knew it was going to be popular. And I disputed it. And they said I needed to show that proof. And the thing is I couldn't, because the models I was using were made by Naka, who had used them as a base to make based on KP Shadow Squirrels, which were based on a copyrighted show. So how far back do they want me to go? They didn't provide me that information. And if you dispute the dispute, you're starting to get yourself in deep water. And it just wasn't worth it to me. And so I just decided to let it go. It sucks. And that's where having a, MCN, a multi-channel network, comes in handy. Because a lot of the times YouTube will just assume that everything you upload is fine. It used to be before that monetization would only kick in once they confirmed that it's fine. Now they assume everything is fine. But before you could only have the assumption if you had an MCN. And that's where like Frederator and some of those other MCNs would come in handy. Problem is, a lot of those MCNs take money from you. Or, if you... look up if you look up this video from Game Theorists, they stole $1.7 million. That is where Define Media, which was an MCN and which these guys were under, basically went defunct, and all the money that was supposed to go to creators during a certain period of time never did. And never, as far as I know, never did. So they were out the money. And I mean, the $1.7 million was between multiple different creators. He just was a large portion of it. Because the MCN, it would be where YouTube wouldn't pay you anymore. They would pay the MCN, and the MCN would then pass the money to you. So MCN, they were holding on to the money. And when they went defunct and the court held the money to pay off debts, they said that money was for that company to pay off their debts. But all they were doing was working the in-between to pass the money to the creator. So they're saying that money wasn't the company's, it was ours. They were just funneling it through because of the contract. But then the courts were saying, nope, that's their asset and you can't get it. So it's because of that I never did an MCN. You're going to go into animation?
Luck.
do know that that's a broad topic. So I love how we have the most people watching now, and I'm just talking. So,
whiskey makes it happen.
I am a storyteller drinker. I love talking when I'm drinking. So, animation though, there's two different aspects of that. Do you want to animate or do you want to make content? It's different. I like making content. I like making horses do weird things, or just animating in general, making things do weird things. If you become an animator, your job is going to be to make what somebody else has already storyboarded and told you to make without very little or with fairly little creative input, at least from a big enough company. And to where you're just going to be working long hours doing one thing. I like the entire aspect of animating. I don't consider myself an animator. I'm a YouTuber or I am a video creator, to where I am planning the video. I am setting up the whole thing. I am animating it, but then I'm also compiling it, editing it, uploading it. Like I'm doing a lot of extra stuff along with it. And that's the animating portion to me is the bottom of the list. It's all the other stuff that I actually find more entertaining. Making content or working for Hasbro.
If you want to animate for Hasbro right now, you gotta move to Dublin.
Hasbro doesn't animate. Hasbro contracts everything out. So it would probably be to work for somebody that worked for Hasbro then. But then that would be to get lucky and get on them with the contract.
They did buy Boulder Studio, so they technically own their animation studio now.
But again, it's in America, 300 and something million people, and there's like 100 people that work in the company.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but it doesn't mean what I would like is if I were to go into an animating career, my dream in that regard would be to work at a very small company. One that at least wasn't where the risk of failure was still low, but to where the environment is still personal. Because the smaller the company you're in, the more probably creative control you would have in things, but also the more aspect of things you would be touching. And I wouldn't want to be at a super large company like Pixar, where you're not just animating for a movie. You're told to animate this 5-second bit, and you're going to put as much time as possible into this 5 seconds. And trust me, I knew my sister used to date somebody that works at Pixar now. And that's basically what they did. It was like, here's my demo reel from something I did Pixar. And it was like a couple seconds long, and that was it. And then also you're not told to work in your style. You're told to work in the style that they're directed to do. So it's rough. And the pay isn't all that great. But if it's what you enjoy doing, then who cares what the pay is? Who cares about anything else? Do what you enjoy. So who cares about food? You don't need to eat.
You don't need a house.
Whatever you can make an MLP with is what I want to do. If it's just about making that kind of content, you can kind of just do it yourself. If you're doing it MLP specific, then again, there's copyright issues. Thankfully, I'm working in a 3D medium. I might be using characters that look like or something, but it's a little different. They're not going to be able to claim direct show footage, or that there's going to be confusion of use of their copyrighted or trademarked characters, because again, the medium looks very different. But you can do that right now. You can jump on Adobe and you could animate something, or an SFM and make something in 3D. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. If it's just about expressing yourself, you can do that at any point. I've spent many, many times jumping back and forth between creative mediums. To me, everybody should have a creative outlet. And this is mine right now. I've had plenty that I've weaved in and out of over the years. My older sister's is making jewelry. She was hitting a depressive streak for a while until she started jewelry she found as a hobby. And now she actually also has she's a sole proprietorship. She goes to trade shows and she sells jewelry at tables, and she loves it. My younger sister was doing drawing for a while. That was her way of expressing herself. And my brother is very much a physical person, about expressing himself through the creation of physical things. Like he does a lot of housework, painting, and like he could build a house from scratch if he wanted. So that's his outlet. For me right now, my creative outlet is electronic mediums. So right now, SFM. Would you be looking to hire? That's a complex subject right now. In the future, I am But as of right now, I'm not a company, so I can't hire. But as of early next year, I plan to sign up for so probably the next couple of weeks, I plan to sign up for an LLC and officially incorporate. So then, or incorporate, which I need to figure out a name for at some point. Because I don't know what to name the LLC. I have ideas.
I want to hear some of those ideas.
No.
I'm curious.
Because then that influences your ideas for coming up with other stuff. And so I want to apply for that next year, and then I could. But initially, the people I'd probably be bringing on would be editors. At the beginning, the main person I want to bring on, and it wouldn't be as a hire, it'd be more of like a contractor's position, because it would be infrequent work, but it would be to somebody that would do not Photoshop, like Premiere work, editing highlights and stuff, so I can take that off my plate. Highlights are my bit that takes less time and that I can make in a much shorter time period that doesn't cause me to burn out. Because if I just animate it nonstop, I'll just burn the hell out. So that's a nice break from stuff. And so a highlight is nice because I can just make something quick on that. Thanks for the follow, game. And I think I missed Utuik for the follow earlier. Thank you as well.
Just need to give it to me, and then I can put it in Windows Movie Maker and chop out every instance you say derpy, and that'll be the whole highlight.
Well, the thing is, so more things that I had to look up into. So the difference between an independent contractor and a hire is a super blurred line, to where if you have an independent contractor, but depending on the work that you give them, by law, you have to make them a hire, because you can't just have it like normally the idea behind an independent contractor is that you are providing them direction, but you have no control over the actual aspect of how they do their job. Therefore, you have no obligation for a lot of things. But if, say, you brought in somebody as an independent contractor for editing, it means that you would say, I need a highlight video made by or can you make this highlight video based on this time period of video? And they said, sure. That would basically be the most I'd be able to say. I wouldn't be able to say, but can you do this and this and this? You can probably lay out some rules on it, but if you started directing too much of it, it would start falling into where they are an employee. And then there is a whole different amount of rules on that stuff. So as of right now, I don't want to deal with that stuff because, for one, I can't afford that kind of thing. An actual hired employee would be a much, much larger expense than I am able to afford. But next year, I want to see how things go. And we'll see.
What you should do is just give me a bunch of footage and be like, Mike, do something with this. And I would say, okay. And there's like a 50% chance you'll get it back on fire.
It's not even flammable.
It doesn't have to be. Yeah. You know, everything I work on catches fire eventually.
What about an intern? I'm not a big fan of unpaid internships. My idea is, if you're putting work into and you're providing value to something, you should be paid for the work that you do. Unpaid internships are bullshit. They should never happen. They are abuse of a system for free labor. Maybe some people are utilizing correctly. That's fine. But it is, most people are abusing. Okay, but that doesn't matter. But no, I'm not doing anything right now on that. I need to determine a couple other things about my own work ethics before I go forward and try to determine that for others. Draw my friends' characters, video game characters, and movie characters. Yes, creative outlets are great, and that's great. Do more of that. I think that I don't want to do lip syncing something.
Taking stuff apart.
But that's the thing is that's an outlet. I have days sometimes where I just don't feel like gaming anything, and I just want to make something. And so that's actually what Rathalos started, because those were quick, and they haven't really been quick anymore. Again, it's like with most things, the more I always want to keep adding and more and more and more.
I am ever so slowly inching myself back to doing something with Fallout.
Why not?
I'm inching towards it. I got other things that keep coming up.
Why would you?
Like broken electronics.
Yeah, like kettles that you can't fix.
I do fix it. You break it again.
No, the wall outlet's breaking it.
I use it and it's fine, and then I go to work and you're like, it broke. I'm like,
Michael's breaking my stuff. He's trying to blame me for it.
Yeah, I am kind of curious what happened to it the last time around. I thought it was place.
Yeah, my kettle stopped working, and then he thought he fixed it, and then no, it didn't.
Today,
I used it.
Well, that doesn't matter, because it didn't work when I used it, and that's what matters.
today,
I am kind of curious why it's not working again. Maybe I'll plug it in tonight. Not even about fixing it at this point, so I'll find out why it stopped working.
If you decide to outsource things, would you say something in Discord? Kind of. So for most of this, when it comes to most like editing work or anything like that, I already have people in mind as to who I would want to have help. I already had one person offer to help, but the person I originally have in mind right now is somebody that is already in some financial difficulties but does amazing work and is emotionally stable, which is a weird thing to say, but that's the one thing with the Brony community is that I need to be a little careful because there are a lot of people that are very, what do we call it?
Talented people who are unreliable because of emotional issues.
No, I'm not. Unreliable isn't the issue. It's swings. So it's more of I am very I want to find people that are more middle ground like me. I don't really go to extremes on emotions. I don't go really negative, but I really don't go all that positive either. So I'm usually very much in the middle. And you're always in the middle. It's just your middle is way down there.
No, it's manic is what it is.
Okay.
It's like, we're all gonna die.
So at least early on, for anybody, any help that I bring on early on, it's going to be people that I have a good relationship with already. Just because if it's going to be somebody that I'm going to jump on and rely on, especially from an inexperienced position in doing such things, I want to make sure it's somebody that I know. Once I feel more comfortable in taking on that kind of role, then maybe, then I might start expanding beyond that. But it's about thinking things from a business perspective. So it would no longer be, it wouldn't be about like, can you do this? Sure. Great. It would be like, send me your resume. So,
today.
So yeah. Or if it's an independent contractor work of, you have to send me an invoice. For it, because I would need to have proof that such a transaction occurred. So it would, but the nice thing about such a thing is that it allows that person to put something on a resume, because it would be actual work done, not just like my mom said her computer wasn't working, so I went and I poked at the buttons and we figured out it wasn't plugged in, and that is a year of experience. I'm a level 4 export. Is that
level 4 export?
A tech support.
Tech support.
What is that? A level 4? I know there's levels for it, but I have no idea. I have an IT degree and I don't even understand this stuff.
I never heard of levels. I didn't think you like level up.
No, it's like there's. Oops, sorry.
It's like I have a degree.
For tech support, there's usually like L1, L2 for like different levels of tech support.
My entire company's tech support.
Well, yeah, but that's because they just
have levels.
They're just like, if something happens, we can just sue that man. It makes it so much easier. Just
it's like I gave him some bad advice and someone died, but
don't break Argo stuff, Mike.
I didn't break it. I fixed it. He broke it.
I broke it from use.
Yeah,
it was just used. Now I am, because he couldn't fix it, and then he just kept telling me he'd fix it. I'm heating all my coffee water on the stove. Like a pleb.
I'd fix it, bring it downstairs, test it. It would work fine. I'd go to work the next day. I'd get a text, Mike, it broke again. And then
no. Okay, hold on. Where's my phone? The bullshit, slander. Where is Michael's messages? Okay. There's one. So the first time he fixed it, I said, the next day, the first time I used it, it said kettle worked perfectly, thanks. And he just gives me thumbs up. Then, so when running the kettle, it smells of melting solder and smokes quite a bit from the handle during operation. He replies, that's normal. and then afterwards says, though you may not want to use it.
Because I posted like that's normal as a joke, and then I'm like, no, if he keeps using it, it'd be a real problem. Like, I can't take that risk.
Pretty sure the solder on the contacts are melting. Sigh. I'll get the solder off the contacts and take one more shot at it, but that switch might just be toasted. I might have something here that can help.
I have been trying to jury rig thing into working because the rule he gave me is I'm not allowed to spend any money on fixing it. So it's been a lot of like, okay, I have this copper blade, I need to bend it into shape. This like trash.
Okay, switch. But then he has another one. Then like the next day, switch. So he did something. He did something to fix it. Then it said switch doesn't work, flashes on and back off. And then you said, okay, I need glue then. And then you reply the next day, did the kettle murder you? I said, yes, I are dead. Before you finish dying, be sure to leave me all your derpies in your will. So
very
again,
important.
He was not saying, no, he was...
Very important. If he dies, I need the derpies.
All right, letter you say.
It's very important. We need those.
You have to fight the boss at each level of tech support. No, what I've learned is if you need to call to complain on anything, what you do is just bitch. Nobody wants to deal with you. As long as you have a legitimate leg to stand on, as long as there was something that was legitimately wrong, just bitch. Just it's if you bitch enough, you will get your way. Don't treat the guy as not a human being. Don't be an asshole, but just keep being annoying. A lot of the times they can't hang up on you. So just keep fighting on it. And eventually you get your way. If you do not have a leg to stand on, you are just trying to extort them, then no, they could just keep fighting back on you. But I've found, at least for most things, just bitch enough. And as long as you have ground to stand on.
At my job, we pretty much, if you complain enough, we will give you like a discount on your next purchase or something.
Mm-hmm. There was, because, and this is one of the reasons that I say that it's a good idea to work in customer service of some sort sometime in your life, because you see the things from the other person's perspective and you know how to get them to the point of where like, whatever, just have it. And I worked in damage trade for a few years. When you work in damage trade, the only people that call you are people that are already dealing with something that's broken. They're already dealing with something that is in a wrong. So they don't call you to say, I'm having a great day, how are you? They call you to yell and scream. That's why I changed jobs when I could, because dealing with that every day was just not something I could do. But I had one lady that it was the only time that the bitching didn't work. And it was one of my favorite moments at that job. Because normally when you're in a customer service position, it's the customer who's always right. In that position, I got to be where they were wrong. And it was, so in freight, somebody called and said, I need to have some freight recovered. And so it was that they had sent us some freight, and then they realized that it was supposed to go with somebody else. And so they were going to have it picked up off their dock. And that is fine. You could charge them for that, for dock storage fees. But normally it's about pleasing the customer. So you just, a lot of that stuff, you just wave on stuff. And like, yeah, that's fine. We'll just pull it to the side. But this lady was an asshole. I don't know, like, if somebody poured like some sand in her pants or something. She was not in a pleasant mood that day. And she would call constantly and she'd be like, has that freight been picked up yet from your dock? I'm like, no. And she sent me the information that FedEx was going to come pick it up, and not like normal FedEx, but FedEx Freight. So like the big trucks. And I'm like, okay, it's okay. And so I was out on the dock and FedEx pulls up And it's like, so I'm here and I happen to be out there. So I dealt with them. It's like, oh, I'm here to pick up this blah, blah, blah freight. And I'm like, yep, that's fine. And so I didn't have a forklift license at that point, but the forklift driver came over. And actually, no, wait. I think FedEx actually, FedEx had their pallet jack, pulled it out of the trailer, grabbed the pallet, put it in their truck. We signed off on it and the driver went on his way. The lady calls back again and she says, so she goes, well, has the freight been picked up? And I said, yeah, it was actually picked up like about 7-8 minutes ago. And she goes, liar. I'm like, what? She goes, I went on their website and she goes, they gave me a tracking number and it doesn't say it's been picked up yet. Like, lady, it's been 7 or 8 minutes. Like it takes package delivery. Sure. Pallet delivery, not going to say for sure if they're going to be scanning everything instantly. It's a little bit different because people want updates on single packages. Pallets, it's big companies. They give them a date, they're fine. So within 7 to 8 minutes, probably not. And she's just like, she's bitching at me. She's like, you're a liar. They say that they would update this instantly upon whatever. And I'm like, and I stopped. And after a while, I just was having it with that lady. And I said, lady, like, a FedEx driver came in a FedEx truck with a FedEx jacket and FedEx paperwork and picked up your damn freight. If that wasn't FedEx that picked up your freight, I have no idea where your goddamn pallet is. And she's like, I want to speak to your manager. And so I said, okay. And thankfully, you can put people on hold as long as you want. So I put her on hold and I went into my manager's office. And this was actually the guy that ran the whole building. And I explained the whole thing to him. And he's like, don't worry about it, I got it. And so he's in there and I hear him in there going like, as far as I know, a FedEx driver came in a FedEx truck and went over that same list. And he got her pissed off and she hung up on him. And he defended me the whole time because he knew that there was nothing, that dealing with those people. And she got her freight, whatever. I don't care. She got her tracking number figured out later. But I was just an asshole right back because if you're an asshole to somebody, they're going to be an asshole back. But if you were legitimately in the right and you have the ability to keep saying no, you were wrong, this needs to be corrected, you have the right to do that. And usually with most people, you can just keep pushing on it, but you'll still just deal with stupid people sometimes. I had a moment in Comcast. What was it? How many years ago was this? Probably about 4 years ago. Comcast, I had called and I had to cancel my television because I had television and internet and I just didn't want my television anymore. So I called and canceled it. And they said, and this was at the time that a whole bunch of other crap was going on regarding people over pressuring people trying to cancel stuff. And so they really didn't pressure at all. And they're like, are you sure you want to cancel your television? Because the package is going to be more expensive if you, the internet portion of the package would be slightly more expensive. I'm like, that's fine because it'll still be cheaper overall. And that's a legitimate question to ask. I'm like, oh, they're like, okay. And then immediately after getting on the phone with them, my internet didn't work anymore. Completely cut out. And so I called back and no longer going to customer service, but to going to technical support, which was very different. And they're like, well, your modem doesn't work. And I'm like, but it worked until just a minute ago when I called to cancel my television. And they're like, yeah, we're pretty sure it's your modem that's not working. You'll have to get a new modem. And we recommend that you get the Comcast modem.
No, of course they do.
And I'm like, no. I'm like, it was just working a minute ago. It won't just suddenly work out of nowhere immediately after getting off the phone with Comcast. I was on the phone with them for 2 hours because they wouldn't take my answer as anything. They had to send a tech support out the next morning to verify equipment working. The tech support walks in the door and asks, and he just says, okay, what's the situation? We explained it to him. He looked at his thing and says, yeah, they just canceled your internet. And he goes, okay, it's working again.
Yep.
I hate Comcast so much. And I have them now too, because I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And our internet isn't actually running at 100% right now. It's actually running at much lower speeds. But I just do not want to call. It's actually running at the speed that, based on most things I've seen online, means that there's probably damage on the line of something that they need to fix. And most people in this area, being of older age, if using streaming services, wouldn't notice any speed drop because it's fine for streaming. It's just not fine for what I need.
I think having a data cap on the Lancer.
Yeah, the 1.2 terabyte. Oh, that's even fine because we should never need to hit it. I just last month did a lot of crap.
The fact that it's even there is what bothers me.
Yeah, for the stuff I want to do, thing is, it's a 1.2 terabyte cap, but I kind of want to use it for like 4 terabytes. So in a way, I kind of want to abuse it. So that's why it's.
I don't think I've ever had a LAN service
Today
that
we
had a cap
celebrate
in the days of early dial-up.
Today
early dial-up, so much cap is it just costs per minute.
It's yeah, so if anybody doesn't know that, Comcast actually has a data cap now, to where, or they've always had a data cap as to how much data you can transfer in a month, but the problem was, or not the problem, but they never enforced it. They are enforcing it now, and they have been for a year or so, depending on where you live. For where I live, they've been enforcing it all year, and I normally haven't had an issue for it, but streaming takes a lot of, like, streaming right now takes data on the line. And then when this is done, so let's say that the stream itself was like 3 gigabytes of data over the whole period of time. Then that's recording that I'm going to upload to YouTube. That's another 3 gigabytes. And so that's 6 gigabytes total. And say that is twice a week. So that's 12 gigabytes. And then there's 4.5 weeks per. So then you're looking at like 60 gigabytes per month. Well, you have a 1.2 terabyte limit. And so if I start doing a lot of other stuff, a lot of uploading, and I download a giant 100 gigabyte game, we almost hit the limit last month. And if you do, your first month is free, but after that, it's $10 per 500 gigs. No,
That'll rack up quick.
No, not 500 gigs. That wouldn't rack up quick. It was per 500 megs. That up to $100. After $100, they won't charge you anymore for the month. Then you're at unlimited.
That would get super expensive, super fast.
But if you want an unlimited plan, it's $30 a month. And I'm like,
$30 more.
$30 more a month to go unlimited. But the chances of us hitting the need for unlimited are so low. Unless I did the cloud streaming. I wanted to do cloud backup because if say like I had a fire, I would lose everything. It would all be gone. I don't have a cloud storage solution. And so I wanted something that would store all my renders and everything on the cloud. But the initial hit for that, I actually have to check on this PC. My current vault for storage is 7.5 terabytes. And it would be probably a gigabyte a day. That would be for ensuring that everything is uploaded and fine. If I render something, since part of that backup is a copy paste of everything from my SFM folder and my Pony SFM folder and various other folders that are important to me, it is a daily backup of that. Then anytime I render something, it would take up even more space. So, hello, Knight. Welcome back.
What was the name?
Yeah, we can all agree F Comcast. They're rated like the worst company in America for a reason.
Was it U.S. Internet they had it?
Yeah, but they're not here. I've already checked. They are currently like 3 or 4 miles south of us. U.S. Internet is what we used to have, and so right now I'm supposed to have a 300 megabit download and a like 15 megabit upload. When I had when I had US Internet, I was paying $30 less a month than I am right now, and I was getting 500 megabit download and 500 megabit upload without any slowdowns, because Comcast's speed of 300 megabit download isn't 300 megabit download. It's like 30. But if it determines that the file that you're downloading is large enough, it will then bump your speed up, but there's a delay to do that. While US Internet was a consistent speed, but it was fiber. And it was just happened to be that the apartment complex that we were staying at was on a street that had that company with service that was installed, and it was an amazing service. Cheap, amazing. It was like $70 a month for gigabit upload and download, meaning I could upload a stream that was like 3 gigabytes within like 20 seconds. That was crazy fast. And now it takes me like 45 minutes.
That's a crazy thing. When I went out to visit my parents, they live out in the middle of nowhere. If you click on their house right now that they're living in,
Today
it just says a building because Google Maps can't tell you what that address is because it's just too far out there. They had fiber optic.
But that kind of makes sense just because the further out you are, probably the cheaper it is to deal with all the contracting for the digging and the land and everything. Yeah. It was probably, and you're just running long cables. It was probably cheaper in kind of that regard. And
we're just digging up the yards. I remember.
But it's probably harder in the cities here. And I'm guessing the reason we had it where we were was because there was a lot of companies in the area. It was probably somebody, either an apartment complex or one of the other nearby businesses, paid for the large cost to have them installed there. And part of this, they determined that part of the cost could be offset because if they're going to run it all the way there, they can just run it the whole street. So they ran the whole street. And the nice thing was I didn't have a modem. I plugged my router into the wall, not a router into a modem and the modem into the wall. You plug your router directly into the wall. That was super cool. I miss U.S. Internet. Signing up for the service was going to their website, giving my address, and then hitting OK. And my internet worked. I didn't even talk to anybody. I never talked to anybody at U.S. Internet. They're an amazing company. And I'm sad that I don't have them anymore. Yeah, it wasn't in the speed was great, but it was only in certain situations that it came in handy. For streaming, it was amazing because I could upload anything and still have full download capabilities. In Comcast, at least in their credit, if I am uploading something, and it's usually a part of the line that is dedicated to upload. So if I start downloading something, it shouldn't interfere with any of the stream that's uploading. So I shouldn't, if I'm watching a YouTube video, it shouldn't affect the upload speed. I've had difficulties with it, but it's also because you're on a multi-stream network with a router and whatever. For that though, there was no way I could potentially do that. I could have uploaded all of everything at 4K 60 frames per second and still had no slowdowns. That's crazy. It was super nice. Yeah, for the symbol and the name's Redstone is VIP because he's special.
Today we
so right now he's not moving at the beginning of this. Probably should give him some kind of motion so at least get something done in the video today. A lot of good conversation though, so I don't mind at all. Actually, I'm gonna cheat this. So we're gonna take everything that's not him. I'm gonna find a position that kind of works. Let's just say here. So I'm just going to put my mouse here. That means this is where the playhead is. So then if I playhead, it'll move him back to that position.
Today we.
And all I need to have is him move.
Today we.
Okay. So there's motion. Very little, but it's motion. Now I want to have him where does his head go from here? Down a little bit. So I'm going to have his head kind of go up.
Today.
I just want to make it sure there's asymmetrical motion.
Today we.
Okay. Okay, so his mouth is also not moving. I'm thinking that it might be a good idea to start with a larger pucker. It's really hard to tell the pucker though. So we're gonna look at something else here. So I'm going to keep some pucker on. But the pucker itself, though, kind of makes it feel like it's removing the smile from his face. So if I increase the pucker, I'm going to offset it by increasing the smirk a little bit so that at least not changing his emotion at all. And then we're going to close his mouth a little bit more. Okay, and then we're going to just right at the very end of this, we're going to round it. What that does is it lets the mouth just slowly open beforehand.
Today.
It's very little. Maybe I can move it. That might be a bit too much.
Today.
Oh, actually, that's fine.
Today.
Okay. So I just mainly making so that I could start put more detail into animating them beforehand, or just cut out the beginning few frames of this, but I don't want to because it misses some of the details I want. So instead, I'm just going to add a little bit of something.
Today we
I have his head turned a little bit too.
Today we
Okay, that looks pretty good.
Today we celebrate the overthrow of the central government.
There is a single fiber optic internet service provider for this area.
Yeah, but their speeds were only 100 megabit.
Talking about CenturyLink.
The CenturyLink's not fiber.
It says it's fiber.
CenturyLink has fiber options, but not in this area. No, trust me, I've already looked at that stuff.
No, I'm just hopeful.
CenturyLink is the only other company that has options, but their only options for here are DSL. We're in a private neighborhood on a private street. That any movement into this area would probably require authorization from the HOA, and in doing so would probably incur a cost or requirement over that most of the people in this area then signed up for their service, because they're not going to like pay to include it on a private street and then only have one person sign up. Probably not.
Today we celebrate the overthrow of the central government. Overthrow of the central government. The central government.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Mara. Mariposa? Mariposa soda. See, you do like I do. You put all your whole name in lowercase, and then it's hard to read. I do it, and then it makes it difficult for people. But I like how it looks. Mariposa. I hope I got that right. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Actually, almost other than Redstoner, I think everybody's in lowercase. Is that like? Okay, Sir Edwards it has capitals. Alexander has capitals. Actually, the follow note.
I put a capital in my name because I'm not weird. Like,
actually, most of the people don't have capitals, other than Tool Wrench, but he has a one for now. He's fancy. Very, very elite. Is that just a thing? That's just like...
I don't know. It's improper. All of you need to go back to school.
Your dad gave you a green light for a Prime sub? Well, tell your dad thank you. He seems like a pretty cool dude. Dads are cool. You should give him a hug, too. Mm-hmm. Hugs are good. Hugs for dads. They like big teddy bears. I mean, I don't know your dad, but...
I don't think I ever gave my dad a hug.
I'm trying to be all positive, and then you're like...
I got me thinking. I'm like, huh. I had this moment, like, oh.
I sent him a Discord message. That's...
Yay.
Just you send him that, like, : hug, : That's the same thing.
It's just as good.
It's just as good.
Today.
So normally here for the the ear folk, let me do the ears here quick because I don't think they're going to be difficult. Technically, since he's just kind of like...
Today we celebrate the...
So his ears kind of wobble, but it doesn't make any sense to have them wobble. I think that his ears are almost non-important. So I would personally just...
part of his hat.
Yeah, we're just going to call his ears like glued to his hat.
Today we celebrate the...
Wait. Oh, his tips. I forgot the tips. Don't forget the tip. It's very important. So let me see if I just do most of it.
Today, we celebrate the overthrow of the central government.
I'll keep it on a little bit. So it looks like there is a little bit on the hat.
Celebrate the overthrow of the central government.
But that's like really wobbly too. But wait, do they consider that as hair?
I think that's his hair, isn't it? Yeah, that's his hair. It's not a hat.
If that's his hair, then why is it blended with his helmet?
It's just the same color. He's very into black. He's an edge horse.
He is black and red.
Mm-hmm. He's a horrible OC.
Like, why does he have a horn? Sharpened it?
He did.
He got in a fight with a nail file. So so most of these lines, normally I'll look at these lines and say, are they smooth? And they're wobbly.
Overthrow of the central government.
Actually, in kind of a negative way, because look how it like kind of caves in like right there. So I'll just in it by like half, and then I'll smooth it like 2 or 3 times. That should be good enough.
Today, we celebrate the overthrow of the central government.
It makes a little bit of motion. You guys said a bunch. Edward also has capitals. Yeah, I think I said it, Sir Edward. Just made me realize most people don't have capitals. I know, I didn't even think about it either. That's a funny story. So I had ended up, I did sponsor for Ciderfest, not this year because it was online, but the year before that. And you went up with me to the drink lounge, right?
Yeah, I've gone up there several times with you at Ciderfest. So
but we did, but was it during the cocktail hour?
When I went up there and we talked to Charlie about the new mascot?
I think that would have been the same time, but it was a sponsor event that we went upstairs. Because you weren't up there for the dinner. But you went up there, okay, so for the drink event. But I'm pretty sure that was up there when we were up there for the time. So Ciderfest has this like top floor, like rotunda type looking thing over the hotel. Yeah, they moved the venues. But and they had cocktail hour for certain levels of sponsors where you could go up there and you would get alcoholic drinks for free for an hour. It was just part of the sponsorship because you paid for the sponsorship. And normally people would just like huddle around the VIPs, and they would like, in some cases, like locked them to the wall with a semicircle of people asking questions.
I remember that happened to John Delancey up there once.
Any of the main voice actors were, some of the like storyboard artists were actually really, really cool and really fun to talk to, and they would not have as many people. But a lot of these would just be like surrounded by people that would be crowded around. So early on in the cocktail hour, the line would be pretty long. But since there was no actual money being transacted, the line would move pretty quick because it's just how fast the guy can make drinks. And so the line would move pretty quick, but then everybody would get kind of like caught up in conversation and wouldn't want to miss anything. I don't care about VIPs at all. So I don't mind talking to some of them, and I've talked to plenty of them, but I don't care about like needing to get every moment with them. So I always take advantage of this cocktail hour as, let's see how many drinks we can have before the bar closes.
The bar is amazing.
Yeah, so normally the line takes a while at first, but there was the one time. So there was the one time up there with him, but then the year before that, when I went up there, I just went up there for the free drinks, and there was like 2 just random guys I just went and like started talking with, and they didn't really care about the VIPs either. They were there for the free drinks, and so we stood just chatting for the last half hour about probably 6 feet from the bartender. And all we would do was just look over there and just put our cup down and say, give us another. And he would just give us another one. And there was nobody. There was no line. It was just constant free drinks. And they were normally like $8 a piece. Mm-hmm. I had probably like 6 or 7 whiskey cokes in a half hour. They weren't like as big as these were or anything. But still, it was a lot of fun. And but the one time we were up there with him, and I forgot why did we start this conversation?
I have no idea.
The lowercase thing.
How did I lead to this?
So we were up there and we were talking with Charlie, and Charlie's the one that runs the convention, and his wife is the one that does a lot of the community guests or the special guest relations, and so we were talking with her. When we were waiting for that line to die down. And so I mean, I'm not like super close friends with Charlie, but I do talk with him, like anytime I can, because it's just interesting hearing his perspective, and he's normally open about some stuff normally not talked about behind the scenes, so it's just super cool. And I was talking with his wife, and she was talking about the name thing, and she's like, and I don't remember how it was brought up, but it was about because in my name on my badge it's a lowercase a, and she's like, we are very adamant on when they put your name in everywhere that it's a lowercase. I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm like, I don't care if you guys put a uppercase a or lowercase a. I think that the uppercase is a pronoun. It is identifying a name, and I see this as an online identifier. So I prefer lowercase as a separator from a real name. And she's like, no. She goes, they tried putting a capital, and I told them, no, you put a lowercase a because that is his name. And I'm like, are you yelling at people like because of capitals in a name? She's like, yes. It is. We take our community and special guest relations seriously, and I'm like, okay. I mean, the dedication to everything, awesome. I appreciate it, but I also felt bad because I didn't really care. So, I mean, I have plenty of badges that are on my fridge that are capitals or lowercase a's. That's how it got into that. I just wasn't sure if you were at that conversation or not.
I don't think I was at that conversation. I just remember talking to Charlie, and I do wonder how much my suggestion for the new mascot actually was the reason for the new mascot.
The
mild ego.
You're just making stuff up.
I said Kieran, and then it ended up being.
You can't just say Kieran and then like suddenly like it's mine.
No, I didn't think it's
I
mine.
own her.
I'm just saying.
I want restitution.
He was asking about a third mascot for the con, and I said it should be a Kieran, and boom, it was a Kieran.
Today.
That's all I know. You said it should be a yak.
I think that a yak for Cider Fest, based on the current characters, would have been better thematically.
They're not cute.
But there was no, in terms of other cons, I don't know if anybody else had a Kieran. So the Kieran could make sense. Whether the fact that it was like a digital like one for Cider Fest was a little weird, but it was also during the time that it was made as an online convention.
It makes sense.
So it's still fine. Best mascot is still Gwen. Gwen is the best, but Gwen at MLPMSP is the best mascot. No, she's in the universe. She's
only in the last year.
She had freckles.
She did. Is that what we need? Is more ponies with freckles?
No, we need more Griffins with freckles. We need hipster Griffins. Okay, wait. Okay, so this is Gwen. Look at that's Gwen. I love Gwen. Why when I search Gwen MLPMSP does Kyle?
That's really weird.
Like this is actually our friend. This is Kyle's.
Why is his? Why?
Because he was a panelist at MLPMSPF.
He was?
Well, he did the bad fanfic. That's just really weird because that's my sister's drawing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gwen is, and so this is the plush for it, and I love it, and I actually have two of them. But Gwen is awesome. Look that's Gwen.
Is that you?
No, that's not me.
I saw a picture of you.
There's another Gwen, and look, there's got little freckles, and then another Gwen.
Freckles.
She was introduced to MLPMSP3. I thought it was beforehand. These are the actual official MLPMS, or not MLPMSP, Minnesota Bronies meetup mascots. And so when they made MLPMSP for the convention, they actually utilized the official mascots for the local meetup group as the convention one, which is actually kind of cool. And this is Snowdrift, and I forgot her name.
The cute one.
I forgot.
I don't know her name. I just boop them.
Oh.
I don't ask questions. Yeah,
There's Ardale.
Okay.
That's Gwen's Pup Trap. I didn't go to. Wait, no, that was final. I was there.
We were there. We were both there. I was off in distance. I think I saw one picture of me from all like the group pictures.
Let's see if.
Like I had this amazing ability of seeing tons of shots of the people I was hanging with and me not being in any of them.
I wanted to see if...
It's like, no, you will never find me.
Okay, wait.
I am elusive. You'll see. I know like a ton of these people, but you will never. There's Draft.
Because there's Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in here.
There's Jay.
Where's Jay? There's Jay.
There's Draft down there right in front, because of course he is. And I'm
there's Dex.
There's Dex.
Where am I?
And I guarantee I'm around. But I'm not in any shot. You'll never find me.
I don't exist apparently.
Well, you just weren't in this shot.
Unless I'm one of these people that's like
All
teleporting through time. What is this guy doing?
I don't know. Oh, that's upsetting.
There's Cowboy Dave. Charlie doing things.
You might see me in this one. Maybe.
I think I might be this one.
I see the back of that Draft's head's impossible to miss.
Yeah, Draft. You can tell Draft from any angle.
Yeah. No, I was in that bar, but you will not see a picture.
I was in this bar. I was talking with Din right around this area for like most of the night.
When this picture was taken, I'm guessing I was on the other side, out of shot, talking to Jay.
I'm thinking I'm around here at this point. I'm seeing all these pictures, and now I'm like questioning whether or not I existed.
You existed. I existed. We're just not photo. People don't take photos of us.
This is a really cool bar because they had a big like floating pirate ship in the middle there. But I remember talking with Din for a large amount of the time. Din's another anthologist. But I don't know how I don't see myself in this picture.
Because I see a bunch of people we know, but we're not in them.
I remember this picture. I just don't remember where I sat. Wait, no, that's a different bar. That's not the same bar.
That was one of the other bars we went to. It was a pub trot. So we went to a lot of different bars. Is this all the pictures? Like,
this is all the ones they posted in like this one? I'm not in this one. I mean, if for color, I really like that color. No, maybe the one in the back here.
Like the color. Like I like darker beers if I drink beer at all.
Do you listen to Scribbler? I have no idea who that is. Sorry. It's just a lowercase thing, and apparently all usernames are lowercase, but you can change your display. Okay, that makes sense. I can see that. I think I got this, but I don't like putting tags on my badge because I'm gonna eventually take it off.
That's 3. That's not F. I was there. I just
You were right. That's probably why I don't see myself, because I'm thinking of F. But this was posted. Yeah, the Twitter's named F. That makes
sense because I see Draft everywhere. I'm like, he wasn't at F. He was at 3. He hated that F exists.
Wait, no. If that was 3, then why was Charlie was probably at all of them.
3, yeah. No, there's I work with Draft, and he ran MLP 3, but he was not happy about F, and he has remarked as much to me on multiple occasions.
Well, that's not going to tell me anything.
No,
I just want to see if I can like randomly find a picture.
Or you type it
of like, that's a really low resolution.
Like you'll see pictures of us all walking together, and I'll just be out of shot or behind someone.
I have
my special skill.
If I dig through,
my phone's getting hot in my pocket anyways because it's charging.
If I were to dig through stuff, I was a sponsor, I think, wasn't I?
I was.
But normally when they have special photos for stuff for like sponsors, whatever, I always sit out.
Yeah, I was probably off somewhere else. Kyle, like there's just a picture of Kyle.
It's just a picture of Kyle. Oh, so we were getting on our way to do the pub trot, and he was standing up, and because Kyle's the one that runs the pub trots a lot, and he was standing up and talking to everybody about stuff. And I think that's when Charlie started stepping in and like being a butt, in the way that Charlie is a funny butt. I don't know if I should ever use that phrase. There's another. If I go down more, there's just another Kyle.
The camera seems to find him, which is an exact opposite of me.
Oh, here's just a picture of Draft and Charlie. Okay.
Best friends.
And that's at BronyCon. God, I could go into like convention talk for forever. No, okay. You know what? I want to see what this comes up with. So this is going to be advertisements for conventions for sure. What is this? How does that come up? I'm not even on stage. Yeah, I was thinking that wouldn't come up with much. This is MLPMSP1?
I was definitely not there.
That's an unlisted video, and it's pulling a picture from it. I don't have that listed. That is a recording of Doors 1's reaction video. I actually have that on list on my channel. For the Doors 1 premiere, I recorded the premiere that we did of all the reaction of the audience, and then anybody that worked on Doors 1, I sent that reaction link to them so that they could watch somebody watching their content. And as a way of like, I know you guys can't be here, but this is what people thought of what you made.
I found a picture of me that somebody took. But of course Kyle is also in it. Because of course he is.
I want to see if like if I just search Argo Damon, do I find my name like or my real face like anywhere?
You don't exist. It's just me and Kyle over and over and over again. Like if every picture I see,
if the first picture I find is of Kyle before I find myself. Well, look, okay.
Where is he? Okay, that's not Kyle, at least.
It better not be Kyle. If it is, I'm gonna rage.
I mean, Tim, you've already found Kyle like multiple times.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
Yeah, he is. It's like, I think he just hangs out in front of cameras.
Okay, come on. Where is it? I'm not finding any right now. There's a picture of Fluttershy with a bunny. Okay. What is... Why does it always have a box in their face?
Because it's like focusing their face.
Who's your favorite character to animate? Probably Rainbow Dash, and it's not because Rainbow Dash is best pony. They are, but
not because, but that's a given.
It is because the models. Actually, there is none. At least until I reach the end. It is the ease of use of the model. Rainbow Dash's hair and tail are meant to be more random and frayed and all that, and so compared to like a Rarity where the hair is meant to be like styled and perfect, in doing so the medium makes it hard to utilize it in such a way to make it look natural. The more chaotic the hair, the easier it is to use. So in this case, Rainbow Dash is the easiest to use because it already feels chaotic and it is built to be that way. So the hair is just easier to work with. While Rarities feel, unless you added a ton of bones and a ton of work to get the bounce right, it's not going to look right. While Rainbow Dash I can just kind of throw anywhere. Fluttershy's has multi-staged errors because it's a 2-stage jiggle bone for her main hair and her tail, so it just doesn't automate right, and I have to do it manually anyway. Twilight's is usually very boxy compared to the rest because of the flat cut on them, so that doesn't always work very good. Applejack's is a close second, but then her side hair and her tail hair have the ball at the end, so you have a second point of physics to connect everything, which is a little bit annoying, but usually not too bad. I
found a picture of you.
And who else? Oh, Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie's also isn't that bad, but her character is difficult to animate because of her her outgoingness and her usually over animated everything. What do you find?
Counts.
That was MLPMSP.
Yeah, it's the back of your head.
Yeah, that was MLPMSP
F.
It had to be F because I was wearing a shirt that I would have only gotten at BronyCon 2019. I remember that exact table, game room,
I'm not
back
at
corner.
It. I don't know why. Din's there.
You don't exist.
I don't exist. It's one of those things.
And I have a full folder. That'd actually be a fun stream to do sometime of, I have an entire folder here that is just, and this isn't even all of it. I haven't even exported. This is from 2000 up to 2017, that I could just go through and like explain, like just these random pictures that we have from, wait, is that Adam?
I found Adam.
Look how young he is. This is Ciderfest. This is Ciderfest 2016.
Yeah,
we were at Bombers.
Stop shaving.
We were at Bombers and that's the Dolphin, and we were in Milwaukee. I remember because Bombers has all the walls that you can write on.
I just found this one with Adam. Ganny and Dex and them.
More boxes on the face. Oh, it's Facebook. That's why.
What's letting you like mark these people?
Hey, look, you had more color in your hair.
That's because at the time I was dying. I dyed my hair for a while and no one knew, and then I stopped doing it. And like everyone's like, "You're gray."
So the funny thing with these pictures is that I'm like, I want to get a picture of the dolphin there for breakfast, and then just making everybody just sit there and do their thing, and Adam's just like, whatever. What was the dolphin ordering? I have no idea. He's ordering fish. Ponies must be stacked. That was the Mall of America. That's our meetup group. But I have like literally just hundreds of these pictures. Wow. My hair was bad that day, and I've lost a lot of weight since then. Yeah, I can't. We were, I think, for sushi that day. This is one of my favorite pictures of Dex, and I put it on a train.
It's very important.
Yeah, it was very, very great Photoshop job. That's more. It's like weird furry stuff of people doing furry things. Oh, I like this.
You got friend.
That was MLP 2. Somebody had a wallet they were selling, and it says, "You've got a friend in me," but I'd like cutting it off where it just says, "You've got friend." So MLB MSP had this great thing with fire pits. And so as long as you got out there early enough, and these are all the hotels actually on the inside, they had this like area outside, and you could just sit at a fire pit, and everybody would sit out there and just drink all night and just sit in front of a fire pit and just bullshit. And so from like probably 6 p.m. until 2 a.m., you'd just be outside just literally talking and chatting and having fun in front of a fire with just like 100 people. It was so
I'm finding a few with me in it.
You've got friend.
It's me.
Jeez, Adam is so young then. This was 2015. So this is 5 years ago. Yeah, this is a long time ago. He's like mid-20s, so he was probably early 20s then. Yeah,
5
actually,
years ago wasn't that long ago. If you start saying stuff like that, it makes us even older.
But I think that was when he turned 21. I think it was.
See, you're really that young?
He's only mid-20s.
I hate him.
I know there was a reason for this. This was at Everfree 2015. Those don't feel that long ago. Oh, so this was Aggie and Adam were going to be coming over for MLP MSP, and so Aggie sends me this like super serious picture of himself in a mirror, like a selfie picture in a mirror, so that I could recognize him to pick him up from an airport. So I'm like, okay, well, here's a picture of me. So I sent him this.
I need this.
And he's like, okay.
Furry.
That was 2014. That was MLP MSP 1, I think.
Oh, no, I lost the picture.
One of the benefits of damaged freight, I had a lot of free coffee for a while. Anyways, that was a distraction. I could go into tons and tons of those pictures, and there's a story attached to every one of them.
Found a picture of Gish.
If you're meant to be dead, Amelia. that stupid quote. But anyways, hello Shahito.
Today we
Let me just finish this eye thing, but then we're already over. I haven't really done much today, but that's fine. I had some fun. That's to be entertaining is the important part. That's actually one of the things we've been when I'm talking about doing or expanding content in the future. We've been I've been considering doing a podcast of some sort, because we just usually get a couple drinks into some of us. We can have some really fun conversations.
You still want to do the Fallout thing?
Well, yeah, that's a whole separate thing.
Well, it's kind of is and isn't, because we would just be doing a lot of talking over it.
But it's still, you're playing a game. The point of a podcast is to like usually have 2 or 3 defined things in which you're going to be covering, and the rest of it is bullshitting, or going off topic in regards. And so the idea was to do that because one of our friends, John, you get a couple drinks into him.
He gets very animated.
He gets super animated, and he is so funny. But the reason I want to hold off on potentially doing anything like that is I really want to do stuff like that. But one is I would like to record them in person. I would like to have it so that everybody was in one room. It's way different compared to whatever, unless you could get recordings of people's faces. And if such were to be done, I would like to have it to where we had the ability to do multiple recordings and then editing, which would mean I would need more than one camera. Normally for something like that, you would probably need a camera per person and then a single camera for everybody. So if you had, say, 4 people on something, you would need anywhere from 3 to 5 cameras. And I just can't afford that right. Well, I can't afford that through the animation budget right now. So... but we do want to do that at some point in the future. It wouldn't be like SFM focused or anything. It would be more of a bullshit type thing, but it would just be for fun. Because we have a lot of really stupid conversations, and if you let John control it, it's actually really fun because John just goes in weird directions and he just starts flailing his arms everywhere, and it's amazing.
Was fun.
Did you have the wolf in your head to extend the joke? It was more of he was being super serious, so I was being super serious, but then throwing in something just stupid. And because I knew that Aggie sometimes doesn't know when to take things super serious, and so I thought it'd be funny. I don't remember his reaction on it. I have a couple little like wolf plushes like that because they're originally my old dogs. And when he passed away, I was able to get some of the original like toys that he had, and I believe that was one of them. And so it means something to me.
Mm-hmm. So it's hard losing a pet.
Yeah, but he's been gone for like 6 or 7 years now. Well past it. Good dog though.
Yes, I had good puppers, and one time when they passed away, the only way I
Celebrate the
Celebrate
the overthrow of the celebrate the
That's another
celebrate
that
the overthrow
story is
of the
depressing. We don't want to do depressing
Today
stories.
we
Only
celebrate
happy
the
stories.
overthrow of the
So,
central government.
I dug a hole and I found gold. Happy story.
So if I do this, it actually works. If I do this, it kind of looks
not
weird.
funny.
It looks weird. I think I'm gonna do this. So I wasn't paying attention.
No, it's pretty good.
Of the central government.
What did you say?
I just read chat. I don't know what I said. I didn't read the thing above that.
Let's not be offensive.
Overthrow of the central government. Overthrow of the central government.
And he goes here. He kind of goes down, but I think at least at the beginning, I'm going to there we go. Put a little extra wide.
Government. Central government.
Probably a little quicker.
Government. Central government. Overthrow of the central government.
Let's go a little bit wider here. Not much.
I found this picture of Giz showing off his horse. I posted it.
Overthrow of the central government.
It's like, this is my horse. There are many
Today
horses. This one is mine.
Celebrate the overthrow of the central government.
Okay, so his eye is basically done. So normally what I'll do for eyes is after the eyes open, I'll usually have them go wider a little bit, and then I'll have them settle back down. And like here I had some of them where they kind of settle down or they close a little bit before doing the full close. In this case, I actually had them kind of squint a little bit before going into
Overthrow of the central government.
but it just that's dependent on whatever's going on right now. But normally Eyes are probably one of the things you want to focus on the most. So anytime they blink, I'll usually have them open a little bit more after their blink is done. Some, depending on how it's moved, you might want to have the eye move up a little bit to offset the difference in the eye position because the expansion. And then usually have the eye go up and down to follow with the eye, which you can see here that the actual eye goes down. He's like crystals. Crystals.
I always thought that Big Jim was the one who voiced him. It's
Crystals.
like, we need somebody to voice this, but we don't want to pay anyone. Mr. Director, please voice this character. It's like, okay, we're not paying you extra. Oh,
Like the guy that owns Gearbox did the voice of Crazy Earl in Borderlands. It makes sense that even it's the person that's giving the orders, they can make the direction on stuff.
But it was cool when they had him do the voice the whole, like the actual lines more than just Crystal. They had him come back and do it. Not a voice actor.
So I will have to. What do I have to do left for him? So the lighting's all done.
Celebrate the overthrow of the central government.
Why does it feel smoother when the lights are on?
Today we celebrate.
It seems weird.
Today we celebrate the overthrow.
It might be my brain saying thinking that when the lights are on, it should be a lower frame rate.
Today we celebrate the overthrow of the central government.
And I would actually prefer like a frame like this for the shot.
Today we celebrate.
But it's about connecting the two shots together. So I need to show that when we switch to Trixie, and the lighting is not done for her at all. And she'll have to have some better lighting on her. It's about connecting the two shots. So I don't want to jump to here at all unless the person that is watching this knows where here is. So where is she in relation to him? Is she across the room? Is she watching him on a television? There is none of that information that is pertainable. Right now, she is a little bit harder to see. But if I were to take like this light and actually this light, the blue light should probably be on this angle at a low intensity. So this is just going to be the separation from the environment. Probably a little less blue, a little bit more red.
More blue.
There we go. A little brighter. And this is going to be...
So what's the story with all the skeletons? They weren't there before.
I added them because the idea... mainly for mystery. I wasn't sure what I wanted them to represent. But the idea was you could, I'm putting an element in that somebody could make something out of. So Trixie is there with a name tag. If she had a name tag, was she going to an event? Did somebody drink all the punch and now they're all dead?
Name tags on the skeletons?
You wouldn't be able to see it. Because,
I want to know they're there though.
Because if in this case, they're going to be blurred. I could put name tags on them, but they would completely be blurred out. You wouldn't be able to see them. So the idea for putting the skeletons, and all these are not, they're just literally churned on the ground and thrown there. It was the idea of, if I left it blank, then it would imply that she is the only one there. If I put skeletons, now there creates questions that other people can come up with the answers to.
There was a Halloween party.
That's what I was thinking about, putting a bowl of punch. But no. I thought that might be going... I'm already kind of going a little too far on some of the jokes. So...
Sombra's evil plans and Halloween decoration store. He doubles up. He's got
are you the cause of the pumpkin shortage? Ha ha! You have found my evil plan.
Would you like to buy a pumpkin for $5?
But they're normally $3. How dare you? Think of the children.
He's cornering the pumpkin market.
It's a monopoly. That's against the law. All right, so here, this would be then how I would light it. And because I'm having the moving camera here, it indicates that this person is, because if I decide this is a still camera, it would be hard to differentiate this from potentially something else in the background because it would be blue on blue. So the idea with this is between the motion showing that they are closer to the camera and the body shape indicating that they are a pony, but not enough detail to indicate who it is. It's providing the information I want you to know without giving you the other information that I don't want you to know. I've actually used this exact same strategy. I mean, it probably wasn't all that greatly executed. But in this one, when she walks up, it was the same thing of I wanted her a bit off camera so that you could identify that somebody was walking up. There's enough information that you could pretty much figure out who it was, but based on the shape and everything, it was really no way to fully hide it. But it was going out the same idea. And in this case, it's the same thing of I want to provide enough information to get an idea as to who it is without actually showing who it is. And you can see right now all these different lines because it's a low quality render. I'm normally going to render this on 128, 128. So if you give this a sec, it's going to look more like that. I would like to go higher, but a 256 is probably just going to take too long.
Well, can't you just do the whole render on your other start backup thing? Or would that take really super long?
It would. The other PC doesn't have a graphics card.
So super long.
Well, for one, I can't render it on that without it being the actual PC. I would have to give it authorization to utilize my PC through here, which means all the renders would still take place on here through the processing and then stream through the other one, unless I install this SFM on there and then transfer all the files. The amount of time that would take compared to me just rendering it overnight, which is what I normally do for renders, is no problem. Anyway, so I think so that would be essentially what I would do for, and I don't want to have it spending that long rendering all these different shots. I'm going to drop it to 64. 64 is normally enough for preview. It takes a couple yeah, it takes like 2-3 seconds. That's fine. But 64 is not enough for this render. The higher the aperture, the more I'll have to play with that. And I really wish there was more between him and her to where there was more like bits so that it may give it a better 3D feeling, but I think I'll just deal with it as it is. High school mascots, Bronco and Eagle. Mine was a Bengal tiger. Actually, I wonder if I have a picture. I do have pictures of me in high school on here.
My mascot, high school's mascot, was a racist stereotype.
Why do you always have to just destroy the mood?
just say something and then just like stare off into the distance as
I know
reminisce about my horrible childhood.
It was like, how was your day? It's like, oh, it's a great day. I won the lottery. And then another guy's like, it's great. I got married. And you're like, my dog got hit by a car.
But you see, the thing is, it's like one of those things where you just have some guy who just has one horrible thing after another happen. And then at a certain point, it's something that starts out kind of funny and then gets sad and then gets funny again.
The problem is that it does that, but then you keep going so long that it literally goes past the second funny all the way just into depressing to where people just start toning you out.
Oh, that's not very nice of them.
And the problem is that also happens in 5 seconds.
Because I'm... See, that's where it got funny again.
Oh, here's Puppy. I mean, it's black and white, but that's my Puppy. That's old. That is super old. That was a film camera. No, I think it was a film camera.
I don't consider anything old unless it happened before I was born.
I thought it was in this folder, but I guess not. Because BPA is an organization I was in 2003, but the pictures that are in there are not the ones I was looking for. No. Where is... Ha. All right. So this is me from 2003. So this is 17 years ago.
Oof.
This was me. I went to Texas on as a BPA, which is Business Professionals of America. It was basically my senior year of high school. I spent half my day not in normal classes. I got to work at the high school as a webmaster, and so basically building their website and a lot of other stuff like work experience, but getting paid to go. The school literally paid me money. It was interesting. But for the class, I had to do some other competitions, and I went to the regional competition and won first place in graphic design and fourth place in Excel. And so I qualified me for state. I went to state competition, won fourth place in Excel, which qualified me for nationals. So I actually went to Dallas on my senior year of high school to compete for national competitions. I made a mistake during the competition that I just didn't print something out and I completely forgot about it, but I actually finished first and I probably would have qualified for an award, but I forgot. Oh, well, shit happens. But this was, I think, my state win. I have no idea where that plaque is. It's actually probably in the box downstairs. I still have to go through. But it was a fun experience. And actually I ended up getting a medallion from the city council, stating a award of excellence. And I still have that. It is on the Master Chief statue, literally like 10 feet that way. But yeah, this picture was us. This is the four of us that won at state. And so all four of us got qualified to go to nationals.
That same year, I was busy getting in trouble for shooting off a bunch of fireworks in a McDonald's parking lot. That was my height.
Look at me. I was so young. And look at all those like 90s haircuts that were just moving their way into because this is 2003. So this is 17 years. No, this is 17 and a half years ago. No. These are probably from 2002. May 2000. Wow. That was like a month before I graduated. Yeah. Wow. I thought it was further from then. So all these pictures are like, look at all this group of people having fun. No, I felt like I was so introverted in high school that I basically had nothing in common with all these people. A lot of them were like the people I went with are the cool kids, and I had nothing to understand about any of them. And any moments that I potentially belonged, I immediately got made fun of, or it just didn't work. So it was a fun experience, but as a personal social thing, I did not have fun.
I hung out with I was socially awkward, but I hung out with the other socially awkward kids, so it got weird sometimes.
In closer periods, this was 14 years ago. We went up to the Boundary Waters Community Areas. This was with the puppies.
Hello, puppers.
But I don't think I have any pictures of me because I was the photographer for a lot of this stuff. Pictures of puppies.
You like the pictures of the puppers?
Because it's puppers. You take pictures of the puppers.
You can't take a bad picture of a puppers. Even that one, and it kind of looks like he's pooping.
No, it was because he was walking around so much and he was not used to exercising that much that he actually wore himself out so much that you could not stand up. He would literally like lean over and then just lay down and whine. He wore himself out so much. And so like he spent most of the time like this. Because he was just we originally had it so he tried to pull one of the sleds, but he was getting older at that point, so his joints are probably at the very beginning stages of going bad. Here's one of my favorite pictures of him. I actually have a printed version of this. I really like that.
My parents have a dog now whose joints are going bad, but they give him some kind of like medication that has cannabis in it now, and he actually is like a puppy again. It's quite nice.
Okay, but yeah, I probably we still had 30 people watching. This was also like.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, the one broke off.
Yeah. Okay, so look at this. See how that breaks off and just.
Mm-hmm. That's why they kill people sometimes. Oh, jeez.
That's my brother.
That's a bad idea.
That's my brother, and I'm like, dude, the things could kill you. Yeah, but whatever. The cool thing with a lot of this is that there's these like Indian signs that are like painted onto the walls of this. But normally if you go in the summer, it is a river. all the way up to the stone, and so the only way to see it is to hopefully the river isn't moving very fast, so you can get up to these walls. But in the winter, you can just walk right up to the walls, so you can actually see them. And the Boundary Waters Canoe Area doesn't have. So this is the BWCA. So this is Boundary Waters Canoe Area. It's northern Minnesota, and you are able to basically a lot of the normal rules and regulations in the BWCA are ignored or not in place at the time of in the winter. So you can camp anywhere, you can walk anywhere. You don't have any regulations.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't graffitied those.
Because they would probably be fined heavily, and because everybody has a license to be in there and what days they're in there and in what area they're in there, they could go to every single person to figure out who did it.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering how they managed to protect them, because
and there was not that many people in that entire weekend. We were up there for like 5-6 days. We saw one other person, and
were they startled?
No, I have a picture with them because they also had a dog. Was the dog attacking my brother because he fell down and he's like doing what doggies do. No, there was a picture of him. Oh, he has his little tongue. No, he had a picture of him. There were some other people there, and we made a snowman too.
There's somebody.
That's me. There's a picture of me.
Yeah.
So this is just a couple years later when I thought, so I was using it. Oh no, this wasn't a digital. I had a cheap digital. It was like a 1.2 megapixel. This was trying to be cool with like cool glasses.
I mean, the glasses probably did help with all the glare off the snow.
Yeah, no, they did. But it was also like I picked ones that were trying to be all cool and edgy because I was at that age where that mattered.
I would say
and
the
now
backwards
I don't care.
hat thing is you tend to be cool, but you still do that.
I still do that. Well, for now. Well, back then I was wearing the hat because I was trying to be cool. Now I wear it because I'm balding, so it's a preference in comparison. And then I'll usually wear it backwards because I don't like something in my way here. It feels weird, so then I just wear it backwards and compare it.
I had a hat period, but it only lasted about a year. I don't like hats.
Florida. Oh, that's the cabin. What is cabin? Oh, that was a really weird trip. There's plenty of stories I could give from that, but I've been told I can't say many of them.
Go to the cabin?
That cabin trip. Yeah. I actually have a video of that cabin trip on my YouTube, and I was told by my friends to take it down because it was incriminating.
Oh, okay. I was curious.
So it's like, I don't want to share anything from that.
I see.
Joe's cabin was when I turned 21. I don't think I have much from that. I just remember my brother took me four-wheeling. And it was actually kind of fun. It was not something I normally would do, and it was fun to do, and I probably wouldn't care about doing it again. Yeah,
it was fun. I never want to do that again.
Let's not do that. So yeah. Anyways, that's a bunch of random stuff. Some of the pictures of my dog actually still have printed versions of. I just haven't put them up yet. Wait, Argo holding a PS5 controller back in 2000.
I mean, the
no.
The PlayStation controllers haven't changed that much since the PS2.
Well, no, but the PS5 controllers are white. That was probably just an old Xbox 360 controller that I had, that I can think of. I don't think if it's with 201, I have no idea what that would be, and I don't think I'd be able to find that picture anymore. But yeah, it's
Today.
I want to go put my chair away and say goodnight.
Okay. It's actually we're like an hour over. No, for him, I have to definitely figure out how to fix his so he has his leg clipping here, but it looks like I don't have full access to the bone that is for that that piece. That's tail. Yeah, jiggle tail. Yeah, I can access some of it, but not the ones at the fully top. But the jiggle bone is actually moving it there, so I would think that I do. Because if the oh no, that's probably, the bone can still clip through it. So normally what I'd have to do for fixing this is during some motions, I'll have to act. And it doesn't work that way. Normally, I would just move the limb in, but I don't have access to separate bone controls. And I can move this kind of, but even if I move this out all the way, I can't access this part. So sometimes I can do a separation. Yeah, I might have to move the bone in, and normally that would be like, and I don't want to like finalize any of the bits here, but like from here to here to here, you would just churn this in and move this in. But even then, look at that. It's probably not going to look right.
Today we
Nope. There's a secondary thing I can do to fix this, which is I can load a second model, hide everything about the original model that isn't the cape, and then shrink down everything that's not in that specific area, hide the original cape, and try to get it to work where I can animate the legs in the invisible model to make it work. Stuff like that does work. It's annoying though. I have a feeling that this is not going to be an issue just for the shot. It's going to be in a future shot. There is also, if I can get it close to working, like say where I move this leg enough to where there's no clipping at this point, or move that bottom part where I can just color the leg red. But then normally you will see a bump of the red there. In a picture, I can smooth that out. In an animation, I can't. But yeah. Anyway. So yeah, not all that much done today, but got to teach you all about YouTube copyright law. Which is interesting things to know. But I'm gonna be done for now. I'm gonna probably work on this a little bit more in the next couple days, but I am currently working on finishing up a time lapse for release on this Friday. It's gonna be like 30 minutes long, 32 minutes long, something like that. Because it's 5 hours that was spent working on a picture, and it's at 10 times speed. And I've got it down to it's 7 hours. 7 hours of work, knocked down to about 30 minutes of video. It takes a lot of time to edit because I have to if I shift the camera to the side, to the left really, really quick, and then come back to the exact same position, and then there's only 2 frames of going something else, I'll cut that out to make it look like a smooth, so it's not blinking really fast, or if there's a lot of flashing lights because of volumetric errors, and that normally an SFM would have. It takes a lot of time to edit it, and it's a lot of cutting. So I spent already about 10 hours on it, and I hope to have it done in a couple more tomorrow. So that will be out on Friday. Come for the animating state for the copyright law. Well, if you guys found that interesting, I'm glad, because it's an interesting topic, but it is a topic that directly affects me. So I find it both interesting and useful and terrifying. The fact that there's a lot of YouTubers that you'll see out there that will talk about getting false copyright claims and having to dispute them. I have never received a false copyright claim other than that one time, but I've never received a false copyright strike, or these issues where somebody will send multiple, they'll send 2 strikes on content and then threaten a third, which if you get the third, your account's deleted, and threaten a third and say that if you don't pay them a certain amount, that they will remove your content. And there was an issue with a certain YouTuber where that happened. Somebody had legitimate copyright for the videos that they were reacting to, and they were stating that they had fair use in using that content, and they ended up paying the fee at some point because they didn't pay the original copyright authorization, the bits for use of the content they were watching. Now they had to pay some 100 times larger fee because they didn't. It's after the fact. They paid it once, and then that created a precedent, and then they were demanding it for future stuff. But again, it was from the legal thing that I was watching where they were talking about it, and he goes, in a lot of the video reactions, they were doing I just want to try to get this person to laugh challenge. That is not a reaction or a critique, so technically it didn't fall under fair use. So if they were to fight it in court, they would lose. So it's stuff like that is good to know. And so if it's information that you guys found interesting and useful, that's cool, because it is good to know, not just from my perspective, but from your perspective. When you see somebody that's talking about having copyright issues and stuff, it is a serious thing, and it can destroy a channel. But also, most YouTubers don't treat their YouTube like a business, and they treat it like a hobby. And when it gets big enough, you have to treat it like a business. Where's my little coffee animation? My little coffee. I don't remember. Do we have something about my little coffee? I don't remember anything about it, like a My Little Coffee. I do plan on next year expanding content for sure. I'll be I don't know, because growth on YouTube is not going to accelerate in any way if I maintain the direction that I'm going. So I want to expand the content that I do. The Monster Hunter stuff is great, but I want to find at least a third avenue, and I would prefer to try to find a third avenue that is not utilizing any type of copyrighted content, is more original, because even with the Monster Hunter stuff, I'm relying on an IP, and when you rely on an IP, you're relying on the popularity of that IP at the time. I would like to see if there's a way to try to make something more original, but that when you're using a 3D medium and trying to make quality content, very quickly gets into expensive territory. So that's where I want to try to utilize the other stuff to try to allow that ability. Argo Game On. I've considered doing more gaming stuff, but I would, no matter what, I do not want to change the whole channel into a gaming thing. No, because that's just not me. I like doing some of the gaming stuff, but if I were to change the whole medium of everything I do to a gaming focused bit, all I would be doing is changing from a unique medium that I work in to copy pasting what other people do. I have nothing new to bring to the game playing medium. If you want to get into game streaming and you want to get into creating of highlight videos, it's almost impossible to do such and stand out unless you do something different, unless you do something to stand out. If you just are going to say, we're just going to play video games to be funny, that's going to be difficult, because there's a lot of people out there that do that. You can be legitimately funny, but how do you stand out? How do you differentiate yourself from somebody else? We talked about once before on the stream where there was, who was it that said it? It was Alpha Gaming. It was again the guy that does a lot of YouTube streams and Twitch streams in regards to how to stream information for being helpful. And it actually has been useful information. But one of the things he was talking about where nothing is, no luck is involved in how successful you are on YouTube. And I disagree with that. When it comes to Twitch and YouTube, luck is involved, but where luck is only defining how long it takes to get noticed and to get big or whatever. So if you want to become big and popular on Twitch or on YouTube or whatever, you can make the absolute best content possible that will help you get found and grow faster. But luck is the additional factor in there of how fast that goes. So if you make some great content, you could blow up on day one, because the right people at the right time find it. But you could make absolutely amazing content and it take years to be noticed, or within no noticeable amount of time you will ever be noticed, because your luck never allowed that to hit. So I still feel like luck is in there, because you still have to have the right people at the right time. You have to have the right people noticing it to retweet or to share or to copy paste or to put it in a chat when the right other people are there. So when it comes down to it, it's making quality content and making it consistently so that it'll just increase the chances of that click. Well, the YouTube algorithm is part of it, but the algorithm will help promote things to certain people, but it's getting to that right person at the right time. Algorithm doesn't have control of that. That is just luck. There's a whole study about how to make things, what do they call that? Like how something goes viral. And they were finding that if you multiple different posts or creations of the same level of funny or shareability or everything that have this certain level of whatever, it didn't matter that they were great. It was who saw it win. So let's say that you made an absolutely funny banger meme that's absolutely great, or a really, well, let's just do, like you say on YouTube, you made a really, really, really good video, and this one person happens to see it and they're like, this is pretty good. And they copy paste it to a Discord. And in that Discord was somebody with potentially like, that's on like a bunch of other Discords, and they thought it was funny. So they copy pasted it in a couple of their Discords. And it happens to be on one of those had somebody with like 1,000 followers on something, and they shared it. Well, now that's 1,000 people. Maybe 1% of those saw it, and that's 10 more. And so it's about getting to the right person. And for the Rathlos account, one of the things that helped that out early on was, or at one of the points was, one of the people from Team 4-Star, which has like hundreds of thousands of followers, retweeted it. Normally, you could expect like a 1% return on any retweets. Anybody that sees it. So if you have 1,000 shares on something, you're not going to expect much more than 10 followers gained out of it. It probably much, much less than that. But if you have hundreds of thousands, that would pull in a good amount. And each one of those brings in more people that then could share. So it's a slippery slope in a good way, to where the more people you have, the more people you get. So as the numbers get higher, those numbers get higher. But that's all luck. It's getting that right person. Viruses aren't nice. Why do you want viral stuff? No, it's just talking about content going viral. Viral content isn't about the quality of the content. It's about who shares it when, and the quality definitely is needed. Like the higher the quality, the better, but it doesn't have to be the top notch best thing ever. It's just about the closer you get to that best thing ever, the better chance, or the lower the bar is for luck. So it's about finding that right balance at the right time. I originally, when I started SFM stuff, I got really, really lucky, because the content that was out at that time, the quality of the stuff that was out at that time, made it so that the quality of my stuff was much, much higher compared to the average of other SFM or 3D content at that time. And I happen to also then have the content shared on EQD and a couple other places early on because of that. So I had luck tied with quality at the average quality, and both of those then, when triggered, were able to help me boost really, really quickly early on. And then that boost increased that number early of like to 1,000 in the first like 2 months. I had 1,000 subscribers, but then now you have 1,000 very active people that are able to share things. As time progresses, that 1,000 is going to start decreasing because people are going to become less active. It's the reason that like the Rathlos account has like 32,000 people, and a lot of those, when I post something, will like and retweet in the thousands compared to people on my Twitter account, which has existed for almost a decade. Even though it has 10,000, doesn't have a third as many likes and retweets. It has like probably 1/50th as much, because it's just an older account. Makes sense. YouTube is just a tool for the lizard government to keep us uninformed. Yes, the lizard government. It is all Facebook or what's his name? the Facebook dude. He's a lizard man, right? I think so. But yeah, it's but no, it's all luck stuff. So if you want to be popular, if you want to, we're not, and that should never be the reason that you do anything. If you want to be a content creator and you want to be found, make consistent quality content, be unique, and share. Because the more often you share, the better chance you are of somebody seeing it at the right time. But don't spam. If you jump onto a server and immediately after joining start shooting links to your stuff everywhere, if you start being pushy on it, then you're not looking personable and nobody wants to see your stuff. Once you get to a certain point with popularity, then it handles itself and you no longer really have to advertise. I hit a point where it was at about 10,000 subscribers. I stopped sending stuff to EQD. I stopped posting stuff on places because I didn't need to. I would put something out and those people did it for me, the people that were subscribed. So just putting something out was enough to bring stuff in. Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, that was it. I just watched a thing about like, so the Legal Eagle did a video on like looking at the social they made a movie about Zuckerberg's like law cases early on for Facebook, and they and he went over the whole video talking about all the different, like how realistic it was from a law perspective. Surprisingly, it was actually very realistic, which is pretty neat. Some photos of him just don't look 100% human. I agree. He looks like he looks like a robot that Pinky and the Brain would have invented and turned the sweat way up too much or something. Well, thanks for follow, Cat. But yeah, anyways, going back to the original topic at hand on that. So I do plan on expanding some of the stuff we're doing, but again, because I work a 40-hour job, it's really hard to plan certain things, because a stream, like say tonight obviously ran late, but normally I spend an hour before a stream prepping, making the GIFs, prepping all the social media posts, getting all the lights and the cameras, make sure everything works, testing the audio. That takes like about a full hour to ensure that everything works 100% before the stream starts. So that takes up basically like my full Tuesday and Friday evenings. And then if I start saying, well, then on Wednesdays we'll do a podcast, well, then my whole Wednesday is gone. And it just ends up getting to the point of my current plan for next year is to be spending 30 hours a week working on stuff, 30% of my free time. That's a third of all of my free time to just work on stuff. So it's an investment. So anything I add on top of that's just going to take more time from that. And it's really hard because sometimes you just don't want to work on stuff. But I have to start thinking about it like a job. I'm trying to. So, hello, Kat. What are you up to? How are you? Well, we just we kind of worked on some stuff. I'm doing well. Otherwise, just kind of chilling for right now. I hope you're doing well. The moon landing was faked on the moon. Sure. There's a total. It was a total farce. How you just passing through? Well, welcome. We're just chit chatting. I know. No, space stuff is super cool. The moon stuff is super cool. It is not a farce. It is it was a highlight of humanity. It was I'm sad that we did. There was actually an interesting book. I don't think it was actually that great, but Neil deGrasse Tyson wrote a book about the connection of astrophysics and military. And I was expecting something very different from the book when I got it. Some of it was very interesting. Some of it got very political. But some of the stuff they were talking about in regards to like science and the moon and the connection for the technology between the stuff is actually pretty interesting. I recommend it for that portion, but as long as you can sit through like what's felt like a political agenda for like 2 chapters. That's a little rough. I didn't expect that, but it was still a good book nonetheless. And the company I work for was mentioned in the book like 6 times, so that was pretty interesting. Running a tour of sleep with the radiation would have gave them cancer. For the moon, no, I think you're still within a safe range of the planet for such, and the amount of time they spent out there was probably not enough to matter. It probably definitely increased their chances of, but I don't know if it would be anything that would be guaranteed. Pyramids were never built. Disregard their presence. I've only seen pictures. Those are photoshopped. You can easily just copy paste those. It's literally just 3 dots. You can do that with the pen tool. It's super easy. It's holograms. It should become knowledge that we got to the moon 1 million years ago. In a way, the moon, most of the moon is usually considered to be that it is something had hit our planet and broken off a large chunk of it, and like early on in its development to where it then separated and created the moon. So a lot of the moon would have been originally created from pieces of Earth. So in a way, we're up there from millions, would have been billions of years ago, but there's that old quote, is it a plane of 150 people were flying over the border between United States and Canada, and it was shot down and it was shot down and it crashes right immediately on the border of US and Canada. Where do you bury the survivors? All right, see you later, Blair. Our brother planet. The story, like a lot of the information on the moon. The moon is necessary. Or nothing. Confused screaming. No, the moon. Without the moon, we probably wouldn't exist. It's a necessary part of our whole cycle. The tides and everything. I think you speak because I speak Spanish. I don't know at all what you do on this channel, but I like your channel. Well, thank you. Buenos dias. If that was probably spoken horribly, but right now we're just chit chatting because I'm an hour and a half past. No tidal waves or werewolves. It's like a leading question, like yes and no. Yes, they're werewolves, but tidal waves don't exist. Thank you, Moon. You're very cool. If I could hug the moon, I would. Why do salt packets have validation dates if all the salt is at least 2 billion years old? That actually has a reason. The FDA requires that all food products or any products that would be consumed by a person have an expiration date, even if there is no actual expiration date. You're probably never going to see any that say expiration. They're probably going to say best if used by, which is going to be the date that they would state that they assume that by this date it would be of its highest quality, but it does not mean that it goes bad at that date. That does not mean expiration. There's a lot of canned vegetables and soups will have a best if used by date. That does not mean it's not good by that date. A lot of canned stuff will last a very, very long time, but by law, they have to put a date. And so they put it within a safe range. In salt, since it's consumed by people, needs a date. So they just come up with something. So that's probably the reason that they do that. They can't just say good for 10 years. Because that's not going to be safe either. Say that somebody keeps it in a cabinet for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, and it gets infested. They could potentially state that something about it was bad. So it's just safer. There was there's a guy watching a guy watching YouTube called James Hoffman that talks about coffee stuff, and he ended up having coffee that was, I think, like 60 or 70 years old. Maybe it was 50, it might have been 50 years old, but it was decades old, and it was in a 100% sealed container, so it was sterile. And they cracked it open and made coffee with it, and the face he made was worth it. It was not good. Definitely went bad. But that was just an age thing. There was no oxygen that was added to it. It was just literally went bad. I know this is the thing that makes people confused when I ask them, especially that, but it didn't work. I know things. No, there's I'm trying to think of like some of the other like weird stuff. Like some of the weird laws that exist. There's actually a law in some of the weird laws in Minnesota state that you cannot drive a red car down Main Street. It's a real law that exists. Main Street is one of the main streets in cities here, and it is by law illegal to drive a red car down Main Street. Never enforced, but it exists. If more than like 3 Indians are caught walking across a bridge at one time, you are legally allowed to shoot and murder them because they are considered a war tribe. That is still in the books. I'm guessing that if you tried to do that, though, there would probably be some overturning of that law, and you would be convicted still. It's like it's illegal to walk into, I think, Wisconsin with a goose on your head and into Canada with a duck on your head. I think it's either that or the other way around. I can't remember. One's a goose, one's a duck. What's the difference? Every 100 years they change the validation date. They just have like one of those little like stamp machines and they just flip the number. Young people I can open a company and sell 1 million years ancient water for a normal price and get rich. Kind of. There probably is rules on that. And you would have to be careful because if you processed it, you could potentially change the date. Unless you pulled it right out of the water, if you did anything to it, you probably would have to indicate the date that was done on, and it could be considered false advertising. Food laws are complicated. I worked so previous to my current job, I worked in the medical industry in quality, and I did. So I worked really closely with regulatory, and just seeing how some of the rules and some of the loops and everything that had to be run through with the FDA and with ISO standards to get things approved. I understand why some medical stuff is expensive, because you have to spend years and like hundreds and hundreds of hours and tons of paperwork to get tiny little things, and all the steps you have to go through of like, I need to change this label, this safety label to include this, and all the approval process you have to go through and all the hours spent and to get this done, and then testing and all this. It's complex. It's nuts. But at the same time, if it's something that could affect somebody's health or could affect them negatively or cause a death, it is something that I would want done. I would want to make sure that everything was done possible to ensure that nobody was hurt. And so in a way that is good. Most of the FDA stuff is done for good reason. Actually, I would almost say the vast majority of the stuff the FDA does is for a good reason. Yeah, some stuff isn't going to be right, but thank God they're there on that regard. No skateboarding in emptied swimming pools in California? Really? Is that enforced? Because that sounds like something people would do all the time. But how many emptied swimming pools are there? I mean, if you're doing it on private property, you probably shouldn't be doing it on that person's property anyway, but still. It doesn't make any sense. I would see that, but I can understand why, because there's going to be so many people getting hurt. It's just all cement. And I don't know, you don't know if it's enforced. Yeah, well, also there's a difference. Breaking the law and being caught breaking the law are two different things. So if you are skateboarding in a pool, if nobody catches you, I mean, how many people here have jaywalked? Which that's a whole fun story about how jaywalking came about. Anything is legal until you get caught. No, I would say that whether something is legal or not doesn't matter if you're caught. It's whether you are guilty or not is dependent on if you're caught. You can do something that's illegal and no matter what, either one way or not, but it's whether or not you're guilty is dependent on law to determine that. There was a time when a lot of people had to empty their swimming pools and a lot of people got hurt trying it. I can see that. It isn't cheating and nobody notices. It's like if a tree falls in the forest. Anyway, it is like 9:30. I'm an hour and a half over. So, and this is when I have just a little free time because I got to work tomorrow. So, Jonathan Joster logic. I have no idea what that means. Probably something. Anyways, so I'm gonna head out. So you guys have a good week, evening, whatever. We'll be back on Friday to do some more stuff. Friday's the 18th. Okay. Because I know Kyle actually comes back in town on the 18th, but he's probably going to do family stuff. So I have to see when he's available. I have no idea on that right now. Okay. So have yourself a good night and a good whatever. And where is there we go. Have a kitty. And the Michael song. Kids, good night to Mike. He's upstairs. Good night, chicken. Chicken. Stop looking at me. There you go. Chicken. I don't have my hand in there. It's like bark, bark, bark. Okay. All right. Now back to Kitty. Bark, bark. Have a good one, guys. I can't actually hear the Michael song, so chicken can't see it. All I see is the media source thing bouncing in the corner. So I can't hear anything. You're all the ones being tortured. I can't even remember what the Michael song was. I just got to get a remix of it.